No? No? Rochelle, go! We're not smarter than
What's up, Andrew, Sir Turtle Otter, Planar Reality, and everyone else watching? What's up? Let me show you guys the setup real quick. So this is what the setup looks like today. Well, there's a lot of activity today. It's a lot of high schools visiting, that's for sure. A lot of little kids. It's like middle school kids over there, maybe elementary. And like middle school or high school kids over here. You know, so and that's where I'm at. Right there, right next to the trash can. It's a little bit of a slope here, but it's fine, it's not that bad. Should be okay. Hopefully I don't get harassed. That's the only thing I'm trying to avoid, obviously. And so far, so good. There's a lot of people selling flowers because of Valentine's Day, you know, and people passing out flyers, people trying to talk to other people. I don't know if they're trying to sell something, but there's a lot going on. That's for sure. So one extra table shouldn't really make a difference, right? So hopefully I don't get fucked with. But yeah, it is what it is. Here we are again. Let's see if I can take this out. Okay. Apparent motion is we see it and think it's moving. True motion is buoyancy and the upward force that causes it. Exactly. So I'm gonna try to focus on that aspect of this subject. You know, apparent motion versus true motion. Again, when it comes to free-falling objects, again, everybody believes that they have true motion, right? But at the same time, buoyancy, you know, a buoyant object, you know, everyone, even globe earthers, will admit, even flat earthers, motionless flat earthers, will have to admit that buoyancy is true motion. You know, anybody that denies buoyancy being true motion is completely lost. Like, they're completely, you know, out of it. Like, you know, so globers, motionless flat earthers, you know, realists in general, would all acknowledge and admit that buoyancy is true motion. So there is an upwards motion of a buoyant object when you release it here on Earth, whether it's in air or water. If a buoyant object is moving, it's true motion. It's really moving through space, right? However, when we have a dense object and we put that into free fall and it appears to move, again, people still believe, stationary flat earthers and globe earthers both believe that an object in free fall, a dense object that's falling, also has true motion. So they're claiming two vectors simultaneously, one up and one down at the same time. So they're claiming two motions, right? However, when we apply a simple accelerometer or a digital accelerometer to both of those objects, right? If we had a giant helium balloon and a bowling ball, for example, right? And we attached accelerometers to both and we let them go, the accelerometers are going to show that only the buoyant object has true motion. So only the buoyant object is moving up through space. The accelerometer is going to show that the bowling ball is not accelerating down or moving down. So that's what an instrument that detects acceleration or a force detection device would show. A force detection device will show that there is no force down in free fall accelerating matter down, and that the force of the Earth, in fact, is actually up. Again, buoyancy showing us that as well. So again, people, this is one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, when it comes to this subject, especially motionless flat earthers have fallen into this propaganda as well of what's happening in free fall, right? Are objects truly accelerating, or is something else happening, right? So again, this whole debate versus motionless flat earth versus globe earth is false dichotomy because they're both claiming the same thing, which it's obviously not true, which physics clearly contradicts. So it's pointless, to debate, a motionless flat in favor of a motionless flat earth versus globe earth, because it's they're both claiming this exact same thing, So yeah, you're gonna go nowhere, and that's exactly how they want this whole subject. Is they don't want anyone to go nowhere with it, So that's how they have people just chasing their tails, because it's bullshit. So that's exactly what the controlled opposition is supposed to do. It's supposed to take people's attentions from what's actually provable, what's actually factual, and steer people's attentions from that to fucking, ideas and concepts about, magical forces in free fall, accelerating matter down, right? They want people to focus on measuring angles to the stars and the luminaries in the sky to prove the shape of the Earth, right? They want people to focus just on visual observations, whether looking at the stars, whether it's looking at objects falling in free fall. Literally, they just want people focusing on visual interpretations about what they're, about phenomena that we're observing, and then filling in the blanks with a bias. So that's what this came down to. It went from investigating the natural world and what's really happening and what reality actually shows. It went from that to now ego battles between the stationary flat earth model versus the spinning ball earth model. Now it's an ego battle. Now people are defending a model because they have so much time invested in it, and again, they can't think for themselves. They can't critically think outside of the box that they've been put in to be able to see that this is just a complete waste of time. So that's how they have us, and that's how they want it. So I'm not gonna go along to get along. I'm just not gonna go, I'm just not gonna go with it. I'm gonna expose it for what it is, And again, at the end of the day, I don't care what this reality is. I don't care whether it's stationary or globe or spinning or gyrating or orbiting, or I don't give a fuck. What I do care are the facts. Is, you know, what I do care is the truth about this place. That's what I care about. Again, I don't have a bias towards anything. I honestly don't care. Like, why would I care? Think about that. Like, why would anybody care? Only a small-minded, weak-minded individual will invest themselves in something like this, in an idea of what the reality is. Like, only a moron or a childlike mentality, you know, someone with a childlike mentality will actually put relevance in that and invest themselves in that and defending a model and defending it. You know, it's just retarded. Like, the fact is, we don't know, you know, what this place is. That's the reality. You know, and buying into an idea, it's one of the worst things you could do, you know, in my opinion. Not only does it stump your, like, mental growth, but you start, you know, adapting cult-like behavior, you know. So a lot of people might not notice it, you know, because everybody does it, but a lot of people have cult-like behavior, you know. Look what happens when you question like a hardcore religious person, right? And you question something from their text, logically, with reason, right? So what happens? They get defensive, right? They get offended, actually, right? Even though they didn't write this book, they're not the ones that came out with these findings. Oh shit! I didn't even have my camera up. They're not the ones that came up with these findings, but yet they take it personal. Why? Right? Why? You know, and it's because, again, people have this kind of attachment to for example, like the globe Earth, you know, that they can't just let go. It's like part of them in a way, and that's why that's why I think they lied to us from when we're very, very, very young. So it just becomes ingrained in you, type of thing. So you'll defend it without question, type of thing, you know. So that's how it really works, you know. The brainwashing goes deep, you know, and that's how, you know, that's how deep it goes. it's ingrained in people's personalities and their being, you know, type of thing. You know, and anybody that questions that must be crazy, you know. So you add that with, you know, experts on TV with lab coats and, you know, claiming the same thing, you know, Earth is a globe and all this bullshit about outer space, right? You combine, you know, the indoctrination from birth with that, with the authority figures here, and it's obviously a recipe for disaster, you know. And the repercussions are the life that we're living, you know, just struggling every day, you know, to get the bare necessities, you know. And, hey, what's up, man? So I have two very easy questions just to see if people, you know, are smarter than a fifth grader. Multiple choice, very easy.
Okay.
All right, let's give it a shot. So here, we'll start with the first one. This is the first one. So here I have 3 box trucks. They're all on a level surface. They're all completely sealed, and they all have an apple hanging from a string inside.
Yes.
The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Which one is at rest? And wind and everything else is constant, and everything's still.
Yes, at rest. Exactly. So one of the trucks is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one would you say is at rest?
Okay. I suppose B?
Yeah. And what would you say B?
Because the ball itself is still, meaning that there's no acceleration forward, meaning that the string will be pushed one way or the other. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So which one's accelerating forward?
The one that's accelerating forward would be A.
A. How do you know A is accelerating forward?
Because the forward acceleration of the car this way essentially leaves the ball in its tracks behind.
Yes. So the
ball
apple
falls,
is being left,
exactly,
it falls behind, exactly. So it only appears to swing back because the whole truck's moving
course,
forward.
yeah.
Because again, the ball's still behind. Exactly, you got it, pretty easy. So the second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
And everything else is constant.
Yes. No, well, yeah, everything else, it's the same thing. You know, one is at rest, one is
I suppose B is at rest.
Yes, and it's for the exact same reason as the first. It's because
Yes.
there's no motion of
Right.
the balloon. Okay, which one's accelerating forward?
Which one is accelerating forward? I suppose. And it's a string. It's tied to a string.
It's tied to a string, yes, that's a string.
Okay.
Just like a balloon string. Similar to this, you know? It's tied to a string. This is a buoyant object. The helium balloon's buoyant.
So, I suppose again, the accelerating one would be A for the exact same reason as the ball.
You think?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so in reality, the answer is actually C in this one.
Okay.
And there's two reasons why. So the first reason is helium is less dense than air. That's obvious, right? Helium is less dense than air. The second reason is a force. So as soon as I apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's trapped inside of the truck as well is also being forced in that same direction through space. And because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in the same direction that air is moving. So again, helium just reacts to the direction that the air is also being pushed. That's what buoyancy is. It's a chain reaction of a force. Right. And I can show that here. You know, this is a buoyant object. So if I apply a force in this direction, what direction will the ball go?
The ball?
The ball, yeah, because this is a buoyant.
Yeah, it will go in this direction. Yeah.
It will go in the same direction. You got it. So again, because it's buoyant, right?
I see.
So here's the true question to see if you're really smarter than a fifth grader. So I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van. And I want to see if you can tell me what direction I accelerate. So there's an apple and a helium balloon hanging from a string.
Forward, this way.
Forward, yes, exactly. Because the apple simply got left behind.
Right.
But if we're inside the container, like this camera is,
Yeah.
and we're just simply looking at the apple and the helium balloon, we see two motions.
That's right.
But in reality, only one is moving and one is only apparent. So one is apparent motion and one is true motion.
Okay.
Which one would you say is true motion?
True motion would be the balloon.
Yes, because the apple is not really moving, it's just being left behind. So again, one more question. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Assuming everything constant, wind and everything else. If you have a helium balloon, it goes up because of, again, the buoyant force. It's less
buoyant, exactly. And if I have an apple and I release it, what direction does that go?
It falls because it's more dense than air.
Now let me ask you this. Same thing with this experiment. What helium balloon and an apple, they both get released. One has true motion and one has apparent motion. Which one would you say has true motion?
I suppose the balloon.
The balloon has true motion, exactly. So the apple falling or anything that's dense falling, it only has apparent motion. I don't know if you knew gravity.
It's spinning.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if gravity as a pulling force is just the theory. I don't know if you knew that. Which means it has never been proven or physically detected. So when something is released into free fall, everybody believes that the object accelerates down to the earth. But in reality, it doesn't. So it only appears, again, you know, because it's actually the earth that's moving up to the object. That upwards push of the earth is what's pushing up the air, and that's why the air is able to push up a helium balloon, which has true motion. So the earth, the air, and the helium have true motion, and something that's in free fall, it doesn't. And that's why gravity as a pulling force will never be proven because it doesn't exist. So the actual force of the earth is a push. It's an upwards push of the earth, not a pull. So that's the reality, and buoyancy shows us that.
You're saying that gravity isn't actually a true pulling force?
It's not. It's only an apparent motion of objects falling, but that's because the ground is moving up to the object. So the object in free fall is just being left behind. So that's the reality. And you might think that, well, what does that matter, right? Have you heard of the normal force of the earth? The upwards push of the earth?
How would you...
So let me ask you this real quick before you... So you believe the earth is a ball, right?
Yes.
So you understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? So if you're standing here, up is this way for you, but if you're standing down here, up is this way for you. But if you're standing here, up is this way. In every direction away from the center will be up on a ball, right? It's relative. If we could prove, you know, physically that the earth is not pulling you down and it's in fact pushing up on you, in other words, moving up, how can the earth push up or move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Because of spinning.
But that would mean the earth is moving this way, not this way, this way, this way.
No, but the earth moves in a very specific direction in relation to the sun.
Yeah. You're saying, so it's moving up this way, right? So it's only
exactly.
Yeah. So here's the reality.
But again, the spinning force acts on everyone, and you can actually see that in the fact that some parts of Earth have less gravity than other parts.
Right, sure.
At the poles, you have less gravity compared to at the at the equator.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that physics shows that if when I release this object, everybody believes this object moves down to the Earth through space. The reality is it's the Earth that's moving up through space, and this gets left behind, and the Earth ground just catches up to it.
Doesn't that? But the following thing that assumes a bunch of things, because Earth's gravity.
Again, a pulling force of gravity, which has never been measured or detected.
Again, in space, right?
Yes.
As a vacuum.
Yes.
There is no such thing as falling.
You could say that, sure.
There is no such thing as falling.
Yes.
So things are relative to each other.
Yes, you need a force in order for things to fall. Right?
Right.
Would you agree? But the thing is that the force of the Earth is not pulling this to make it fall. It's the force of the Earth is catching up to it to appear to make it fall.
But again, it doesn't matter because you have, if you want to explain this, you'd have to also justify to me that the sun itself has some sort of mechanism. For example...
Well, first of all, the sun is completely out of our realm of reaching it and trying to test it exactly to know what it is. And in my opinion, it's completely irrelevant when it comes to the shape of the Earth.
So?
Because nobody can actually go to the sun and prove what it is and how far it is and how big it is. Second, even if you could do that, that doesn't prove anything about the dimensions of the Earth physically, whether it's a globe or not. So here's my point. So in order for the Earth to be able to move up and be a ball at the same time, it would have to be expanding by the second, which wouldn't work. It would just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the gravity being a pulling force of the Earth, because if we could prove that it's the other way around and it's the Earth pushing up instead, then the whole globe Earth model would fall apart. It won't even work on paper. Put it that way. So it's a requirement of the globe Earth for people to believe in a pulling force of gravity, which actually doesn't exist. It shows that the force of the Earth is up to push the Earth. So the fact is, the Earth is simply just an extended level plane, and it's moving up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same.
Do you believe that...
So the Earth is not expanding.
Do you believe that it's impossible to find the shapes of any other celestial objects?
So in my opinion, when we're talking about the shape of the Earth, again, whether it's a globe or not, looking at the celestials, the stars, the sun, and the moon, tells us nothing about the dimensions of the Earth. So it becomes a red herring argument, which means it's a false argument.
I don't think so. I mean, do you think that... So you think that Earth is unique compared to the entire
100%.
universe?
So the luminaries in the sky, in my opinion, they're not terra firma, and they're not trillions and trillions of miles away. So this whole idea of space in between two bodies, they're terra firma, it's all made up. So nobody's actually been outside of the Earth contained system. So the Earth is a contained system. We haven't been outside of it. The luminaries are part of the system.
How do you justify things like the speed of light?
So the speed of light is a concept. So it has, it's just a concept.
All things are concepts.
No, physics is not a concept. Physics can be tested and proven.
And the speed of light can be proven as well?
No, it can only work mathematically.
Oh, no, but that's not true. See, the speed of light is a proven concept as well.
Let's say they did prove the speed of light. How does that prove that the Earth is a globe?
Because differing objects, the image of these objects arrives at Earth at a certain speed, which suggests that according to the speed of light, they must be XYZ distance away.
Okay, so that's just a theory based on another theory.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, because
We've proved the speed of light.
Okay, so let's say that was true then, and you did prove that these lights were coming from far away. How does that prove the Earth is a globe?
Well, it immediately calls into question your previous claim.
What?
That the object in space are not trillions of miles away.
Well, what does that have to do with proving the pulling force of gravity then? Because if the Earth wasn't pulling and it was pushing, would you admit that it wouldn't work?
All of the physics calculations that operate under the assumed globe Earth are consistent.
What measurements or operations you're talking about specifically?
Well, the entire idea of gravity is that objects with mass make way upon the plane of space-time.
Right.
And so, if you have a plane, right? The sun is an extremely heavy thing. It weighs it down, and like a blanket, objects circle around. You've seen the video.
I've seen the diagram of a 2D blanket, but an object in space is in three-dimensional space.
Right, but allow me to finish.
Sure.
The calculations of gravity, assuming mass being consistent with everything else, have shown that the gravitational constant applies based on these things. And so when we observe the distance, and so the distance of these celestial objects is extremely important. If the distance was to be this way, and the orbits were to be this way, and so on and so forth, and it would mean necessarily that there must be the gravitational force that's been described and theorized.
So what you're saying is like, if gravity was true as a pulling force, and if these lights were truly far away, and if these calculations were done correctly, then the Earth must be a globe. But there's a lot of ifs there.
No.
See what I'm saying?
These ifs are placeholders for arguments. It's
No.
Because they have been proven mathematically and by physics.
What if all of these arguments, right, were founded upon a false premise or started from a false premise?
What's the false premise?
That the pulling force of that the force of gravity is a pulling force. So the whole globe Earth concept starts from that false premise. That's why it's so important to understand that the upwards push of the Earth is the only force that exists. And buoyancy shows us that you can't have air push up a helium balloon if the air is not being pushed up as well. The air has to be moving up through space to be able to push a helium balloon up as well. Just like in any other example, a helium balloon cannot get pushed this way if the air is not being moved that way. You would have to believe that is the case, which defies physics. The air cannot be pulled down, but helium goes up in the opposite direction the air is moving. Does that make sense? That shows that the air is being pushed up from underneath, so the Earth is pushing up against us, not pulling us down. And that's how we get this, all the effects we experience here on Earth. That's how we have weight, because the Earth is pushing up against us and our bodies are resisting that push, and that's why we have weight, because we're resisting the upwards push. Heliums are not dense enough to resist the push, so they go with the push. And that's why the buoyancy is a push. It's an upwards push of the Earth.
Again, the issue is the impossibility of it being like otherwise, and also the fact that because again, if the Earth was assumed to be flat,
level, because flat is a science. But yeah, it's level.
It would not. Again, it would essentially disagree with all Okay, level.
And I'm gonna tell you the difference. Flat, over 95% of flat earthers claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny the upwards push of the Earth. So they're worse than globe earthers. So they're debating that there's another force pulling things down, but not gravity. It's some other retarded shit. So flat Earth versus globe Earth, it's a false dichotomy.
What do you think it is that pushes the Earth up?
Oh, that's a mystery. Nobody's been outside of the Earth. So you ask me, what's the mechanism of the Earth's motion? Huh? That's a mystery. I would love to know. They mock it, trying to say that there's rockets underneath the Earth pushing it up. But I think it's something way more sophisticated, beyond our comprehension.
Here's the thing. So gravity, right?
Yes.
The reason gravity works is because it coincides with a lot of other science that must be the case.
What other science?
For example, the globe, right?
Yes.
The idea of the globe.
Yes.
It was proven by the Greeks certain things that if the Earth was not round, if the Earth was not a ball, could not possibly be the case.
Are you talking about kind of like the sticks and shadows experiment?
Yes.
For example, okay, so the sticks and shadows experiment, could be easily debunked as to not. So here's two assumptions that they made when they did that experiment. They didn't do that experiment to prove the Earth was a globe. They did that experiment to measure the circumference of the Earth. What that means is that they're already assuming the Earth was a globe, so they're just measuring the circumference. So they're assuming that the sun is 93 million miles away, which means all the light rays are coming in parallel, and they're also assuming that the Earth is a globe already, so that they're able to measure the angle of difference between those light rays and shadows. That's how they're able to calculate for the circumference. So they're not proving the Earth is a globe. They're assuming it's a globe and now measuring for the circumference. So it's an assumption that they're making. So they're not proving anything with the sticks and shadows.
Aren't you assuming that there's that it's impossible to observe outside the globe?
Yes, I would say it is impossible. Nobody's been outside of the Earth, but here's my thing. I don't need to go outside of the Earth to know that it's not a globe.
But do you think so? Again, are you assuming that it's impossible with telescopes to see what is beyond the what's in space?
I don't deny that we can look at the sky and observe these luminaries, but what I deny is what they're telling me these luminaries are.
But again,
nobody knows what they are.
So you think that with telescopes, what we can see, like looking at the moon, looking at the movements of the stars and everything else, that's false?
No, that's true. But I would say that the motion of the stars is not because we're spinning, it's because the sky is spinning. Yeah, so we're not spinning in my opinion. We're just moving up, and that's what gravity is pretty much. It's an upwards motion of the Earth. It's not a pull of the, because this imaginary force that everybody believes pulls this down to the Earth, this doesn't exist. What happens again is the Earth that moves up, and this only falls due to inertia. So the same reason why the apple gets left behind is because it has inertia. So it's able to resist the air pushing it because it's more dense than the air. The air's not dense enough to push it up. So that's why the air's not dense enough to push this up, and that's why it just gets left behind due to inertia. It's not a force accelerating this down. It's just an effect of the Earth's upwards motion. And then this just gets left behind. You know, that's the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth. You know, the fact that gravity is not a pull, is a push. You know, and that's why it's the number one censored thing. And that's why flat earthers, the motionless flat earthers, are the controlled opposition. You know, they're denying the upward push of the Earth, which is the number one thing that destroys the whole globe Earth concept. So again, this whole motionless flat Earth, it's all bullshit.
You say controlled opposition?
Yes, controlled opposition.
Are you from some sort of religious background?
No, I stay away from religion. So the globe Earth is the biggest religion on Earth, believe it or not. So if you think you're, like, for example, somebody that's an atheist, I used to be an atheist myself, the irony is they're the biggest religion, in my opinion, like the most dumb religion too, because they think they don't have beliefs, but they believe that everything came from nothing. That is a belief, and that is a religion, you know, which defies physics, because something can't come from nothing. You know, something can only come from something else.
So you're a Christian?
I'm not a Christian either. I acknowledge that this is a creation, and that's it. I don't buy into any religion. Any religions that exist here on Earth are all created by man, and they're there to control other people. The fact is, nobody knows how this place was created, but the fact is that it was. You know, that's what physics shows. You know, it couldn't have came from nothing. That's impossible. So we did come from something else that's intelligent, 100%. I don't know what that is. I have no clue. I don't even know if this place is like heaven or hell. You know, some people might say this is like a prison. I think it probably is kind of like a prison. If you look at nature, how everything eats itself, it's pretty horrific. This is probably hell. You know, but I don't know. I can't prove that. What I can prove is that it's not a globe in outer space. You know? I'm gonna tell you this. The number 2 proof that debunks the globe, real quick. Do you know the radius of the Earth?
Not exactly.
Right? Because obviously if the Earth has curvature, we should be able to measure it, right? So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. So based on the radius of the Earth and using a simple calculation like the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be every mile. And every mile there should, you know, it be an increase in curvature. And it turns out there should be 8 inches per mile square of curvature. So how do we measure for that curve, right? So again, in the first mile, there should be an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. So if we went out to a giant lake that was 3 miles across, for example, and we build a level structure above the body of water, the water is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it when it's at rest, because that's the physics of water. It takes the shape of the container, but the surface always equalizes. It forms a level surface, right? They're trying to tell us that the surface of water is bending 6 feet in 3 miles and 66 feet in 10 miles. So they're trying to say that if you're in a lake that's 10 miles across, the end of that lake is 66 feet below you. And that's physically impossible for water to be able to do that. So the physics of water, again, shows that it is a physical impossibility for the Earth to be a globe. Because that would mean that oceans will have to be bending around the ball as well, just like every lake on Earth would. But again, water doesn't have the physical ability to do that on the surface. You know, so this would be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe, the physics of water.
The oceans do bend.
That's what you're told, but
By the fact that boats, when they, you know the example I'm going to give you, so what's your prediction?
okay, so the boat's disappearing over the horizon, right? So we do have a limit to how far we can see. So we do have a limit of perspective. So when something, for example, you have an object in front of you, and then the further it goes away, it appears to shrink down to a point, right? And eventually you can't see it anymore. The resolution's not there anymore. You're not able to see it. What happens is that everything shrinks to a point because we have spherical eyes. So the horizon is simply the limit of perspective, is the limit of the field of view.
The issue is that when it's not that the boats disappear, it's the fact that the boat
From the bottom up.
from the bottom up.
Yeah, so here's what happens. Because the ground is obviously closer to the boat than the sky, there's nothing above the sky. So the ground in front of the boat, once the boat goes off too far into view, here, let me show you a graph so I can explain this way easier. But it's because the ground underneath starts to block the boat leaving. So that's why it starts to disappear from the bottom up. You know, here, let me show you this. It's a pretty good graph. It kind of shows, here it is. And here's some images of that. Look, train tracks, right? They're parallel, but they appear to converge to a point because that's how we see. But we know these are parallel, right? Same thing with the hallways. The hallways are parallel, but they appear to shrink to a point, you know. So here's the thing. When we're observing a boat go over the horizon, this arc represents our eye, right? When we're observing an object above the eye or below the eye, the further it goes out in a straight line, the more it shrinks down to the eye line, which is the horizon. So when the boat simply goes out of view, the ground in front of it just starts to block it. So now the bottom starts to get blocked. And the further it goes out, it starts to block more and more and more because the boat is just shrinking down. Does that make sense? And then the water in front of it or the land in front of it is now blocking that. So it's all due to perspective. That's why. Because if you bring out a powerful zoom camera and the boat disappeared, you'll bring it back into view, which will be physically impossible if it was truly going down a physical curve. It's like if something went around this object and I bring out a camera, I shouldn't be able to bring it back into view because it's already behind the object. So if a boat was truly going down a curve, you shouldn't be able to bring a binoculars or a powerful zoom camera and bring it back into view, and that's what happens. Because you're increasing your limit of perspective with binoculars. So again, a physical measurement of the Earth's curvature has never been done because it doesn't exist. Just like a physical downwards acceleration of gravity has never been detected because it doesn't exist. It's up. The force of the Earth is up. So let me ask you this. Is it possible that we have been lied to at a mass scale about the nature of the Earth, or are you 100% convinced that it is a ball?
Well, I disagree with the entire idea of the flat Earth.
No, I disagree with it too. 100%. I don't agree with flat Earth.
Even with the idea of the level Earth, I think I do agree with completely with the ball Earth.
What convinces you? Like, what's the number one thing that convinces you 100% it can't be anything else?
Again, like I said before, it's the impossibility of it not being the case. In order for the Earth to be anything other than a ball, it would question essentially all of our ideas on physics. It would call into question the truthfulness of basically the entire world.
Do you think governments are 100% honest?
Not about governments, even pilots would have to be lying. Or if it wasn't the case that pilots were lying, you'd have to say that airplanes themselves were like some sort of false thing, like a teleporter or something.
So do you think pilots sign NDAs? Or?
Again, there are even if they sign NDA, it doesn't matter at all, because in the massive population of pilots on Earth, there are people who don't. There are people who break NDAs all the time.
Sure.
But that's a common thing. So the existence of NDAs doesn't disprove any sort of...
That was just a question because you're saying that pilots must be lying and
No, I'm saying that but in order to assume a globe Earth, you must assume that literally every single pilot is in on it.
Could they believe that they're on a globe, still flying a plane?
No, because planes themselves are routed very specifically in order for the fastest route to be in accordance with the assumption of the globe.
Right. So they have to believe that they're flying over a globe, right? Pilots?
They have to fly the plane over a globe.
They believe that, in my opinion.
Do you think that pilots steer the planes? They fly.
Yeah, they fly. They say that gravity autocorrects because airplanes fly level. You know what that means? They fly straight.
I'm asking you, well, yeah, but...
They don't point their nose down to go around a globe. They just fly level. They actually point their nose up, slightly up, 1 degree to maintain level flight. I wonder why. And I think it's because the Earth will catch up and crash into it. So when airplanes are flying level, look this up, their nose is slightly pointing up, not down. So it should be pointing down if they're going down a curve, but they're not. They're pointing up because the Earth is moving up too.
Again,
and that's only to maintain level flight.
You have to assume that these people are in on it anyway because they see the curvature of the Earth from the
Let me tell you this: there are pilots that have came out. There's videos, but I don't take these, as proof of anything. But there are pilots that have came out and admitted the Earth is a level plane. It's not a globe, 100%. There's pilots, but they're not gonna risk their careers and go out to a news station.
But that's a very super tiny fraction.
My point is that what you're saying is it's completely irrelevant to prove either or. And there's actually pilots that do go against the grain.
Very relevant because, again, in order for the Earth to not be a globe, it essentially has to be the case that 99%, because that's around the ratio of globe Earthers to level Earthers to flat Earthers. You have to assume that everyone who does physics, everyone who's a pilot, everyone who works on the assumption of a globe Earth is lying.
Well, I believed it, and I talked about it, and I wasn't lying. 10 years ago, before I came across this subject, I believed the globe Earth. I talked about aliens, I talked about other planets, and I wasn't lying. I believed it. You know what I'm saying? Most people just believe it too. They're not lying.
But these people work on... No, that's the problem though. They don't... Their jobs involve them not only believing it, their jobs involve them utilizing that very same assumption.
Well, do you know that most pilots nowadays just use GPS to navigate the Earth. They couldn't navigate the Earth themselves without GPS. Most pilots nowadays, so they're not really truly skilled to understand the components and the mechanisms of the
Before the
airplane.
invention of GPS, they still.
Yes, maybe those pilots did know.
But
nowadays, modern pilots.
But those pilots didn't come out at all either for this position.
Maybe they did. You just didn't hear about it.
Well,
Maybe the mainstream media didn't want us to hear about it.
Well, at that point, if you assume that we can never see the truth,
Let me ask you this: do you think the mainstream media is actually honest and it's open for anybody to be able to push anything there?
no,
No,
I don't
it's
think
100
it's honest.
exactly.
But again, that one thing has nothing to do with the other.
The mainstream media is 100% biased towards the people that run it because it's been bought and paid for already. All of the media has been bought and paid for, especially mainstream media. So to expect the media to come out, with tests that go against the mainstream narrative, it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
Again, it doesn't. That's not even.
But that's completely irrelevant to the physics that debunks the globe, though. But that's what I'm sticking to. Is the physics, not the
even
what
the
ifs.
physics. Even the physics. If the Earth was a globe, the physics that physicists do today relies on gravity. There is no physics without gravity.
Exactly, it's a push of the Earth, not a pull. So I acknowledge there is motionless flat earthers would deny gravity. Yeah, I'm not a motionless flat earther. I'm a realist, if anything. I acknowledge reality for what it is, and it shows me that it's pushing up. The reality is moving up.
The other thing is also all physics that look at the curvature that study the Earth. Again, they work under the assumption of a globe Earth.
Yeah. So here, I have images of the Earth, and these are official NASA images, and they admit they're all CGI. So they don't have genuine photographs of the Earth. So every image you see of the Earth like this is just a cartoon.
I don't care about those images. I know they're CGI, but again, the physics that they do in relation to the Earth, about things on the Earth, such as the depth into the crust, everything else.
Yeah.
These things are on the Earth, are under, again, the assumption that they have as physicists, knowing all that they do about around Earth. So again, like I said, beginning of this conversation, it's...
So your best argument for the globe is that it has to be a globe because there's no way everybody's lying. So that's your best
no way
argument?
everybody's lying, and all the things that we've decided through physics, assuming these things have turned out to be true.
And it's all based on the pulling force of gravity, which is a false premise in my opinion.
Well, yeah, no, it's not a false premise at all.
It is a false premise. So let me just show you how quickly we can debunk gravity. So you have an accelerometer on your phone, or you have a smartphone, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So here, let me just show you real quick.
What time is it?
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, sir, it's 12. I have to get going.
All right, 1 minute. If you want to just take a look real quick. So it's based on the accelerometers on our phone. So here, let me. I did this experiment myself, and it's on my channel. I'll give you my channel after when we're done. But yeah.
A digital accelerometer is a device that detects the presence of a force or acceleration. For example, when it rests and connected to the Earth, it detects 1G force. As soon as I accelerated from being at rest, the accelerometer detects that acceleration by increasing the G force. Whether I accelerated to the right, to the left, up, or down, the accelerometer will always detect the acceleration 100% of the time. However, the instant I put the accelerometer into free fall, it detects a deceleration. It goes from 1G down to 0. If the accelerometer was accelerating down to free fall, it would detect that acceleration by increasing from 1G, not decreasing. Not only does the accelerometer show that there's no detectable acceleration in free fall, it also shows that the vector of force of the Earth is up. When I switch to the vector tab of the accelerometer, we can see when at rest on Earth, it detects that the vector of force is down, as shown by the green line. However, the vector on the phone is inverted, because when I apply force to the right, the vector goes to the left. And when I apply force to the left, the vector goes to the right. When I apply force down, the vector inverts up. And when I apply force up, the downwards vector increases, showing that the vector of the phone is inverted, the true direction of the force, or vector. So when the phone is at rest on the Earth, showing that the vector is inverted, the direction of the force, or vector, is up. Also, when the accelerometer is in free fall, the vector completely vanishes, showing that it's now being accelerated down by a force, which proves that the force or vector of the Earth is up, not down.
So pretty much all of the accelerometers in our phones, when it comes to the vector tabs, are inverted. So when you have your phone, it shows that the vector is down. But when you accelerate down, the vector goes up. And when you accelerate up, it increases the downwards vector because the true vector is up. So, you know, that's basically what it shows. And in free fall, there is no vector because it's not moving down.
There's two contentions. For one, you have to assume that the accelerometer that the people controlling the narrative put on your phone is correct.
Well, the accelerometer doesn't lie. It's just a device.
It's a
tool.
device that
It's
they
a
made,
tool.
though. Who made the device?
But here's the thing. This is an accelerometer. This is a digital accelerometer inside the phone. This is a analog accelerometer. So this will react to acceleration as well. The ball will always get pushed in the direction of force. In free fall, it doesn't get pushed down when it should. Because if I physically accelerate this down, the ball does get pushed down.
But again, like I said at the beginning, nobody claims that the Earth necessarily pulls you into it in the way that they are saying. The claim is that the spinning that gravity exists, but it's the spin that makes the gravity, us feel gravity.
Even if that was the case, when you have an object at rest and you release it, it moves technically, right? In your model, it has to move down, right? Because it's being pulled down apparently, right?
No, it's the Earth coming to meet it by the spin of the Earth.
So the Earth is coming up to meet it by the spin of the Earth.
Yes.
So there is no pulling force then.
Gravity is again.
Okay, let's say it's spinning this way, right? How does an object fall up here then? I mean, it wouldn't even fall here because the Earth would just be moving that way. It's not moving up. If the Earth was spinning, the Earth is only moving in I don't know what direction it's spinning, but it's going to be moving this way. It's not going to be moving this way.
Because again,
the Earth cannot spin and move up.
The Earth tilts on its axis.
Sure, there's a tilt.
No, there's a tilt, and that means that at all points of the Earth, it's always being pushed. You're always being pushed into.
I'm always.
Always.
That's because you're believing in a pulling force.
No, not pulling. Again, if the Earth is spinning, right?
Yes,
if
it's spinning. Okay, it's spinning, and there's somebody here and there's somebody down here.
Yeah. If it goes like this.
Yeah.
There's always.
Wait, you're going back and forth?
It's a tilt. This happens. The Earth spins on its axis back and forth throughout the seasons. That's how we have seasons. So as it spins, you see.
How are people sticking to it?
At all times, the person up here is still being essentially.
How are people sticking to it from every angle? How is the all water sticking to it?
That's because of the atmosphere. Water doesn't even stay in.
Because the globe Earth explanation is that gravity pulls everything to the center, and that's why everything sticks to it, and that's why it doesn't fall, right? The reality is the reason why we're stuck to the Earth is because the Earth is pushing up against us, and we're all stuck on it. So that's why we're stuck to the Earth, because the Earth is pushing up against us. You're saying that. How are we stuck to the Earth in your model? I'm trying to understand that. Is it not a pulling force, right? On a globe Earth, how are we stuck to it? How are we stuck to it? Why don't we float into space on a globe Earth?
Again.
Because it's a pulling force, right? You have to believe that the pulling force of gravity is holding everything towards the center of the ball. And that's how you can have someone standing down here, someone standing here, and someone standing up here.
I suppose, but again.
So that's why an upwards push and a globe doesn't work together. And that's why they have to push this whole idea of a pull, because if we actually could show that it's actually a push, then the whole globe Earth concept just doesn't exist. It couldn't even exist on paper. You know, it would be one of the most retarded, theories ever. But yeah, it's the number one. So what does that show about the people? They're able to believe the most ridiculous theory about the Earth to be true. What does that show? That just shows me that people were dumbed down.
Again, you're assuming that literally everyone's lying.
No, most people are just believing it. There is people lying though, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, but you're assuming that again, the people who are on the physics forefront, the people who work with calculations of the Earth, assuming that the Earth is round. Look, the problem is with your position, it means that anyone who works with an assumption of the Earth being round or having a certain radius would make incorrect calculations. No,
you know what they say? All engineers, for example, that build railroads, that build tunnels, you know what they say? They say they don't take account of the Earth's curvature because it's too big.
Yeah, that is true.
Nope, 8 inches per mile squared. Railroads go for hundreds of miles. Bridges go for, the longest bridge in China is 100 miles. It should have over a mile of curvature, and it doesn't. So again,
I don't know if those calculations are correct.
Oh, again, you can look this up. You can take a picture of
I
it
have
if you
no time
want.
to get a class.
But yeah, no, appreciate the chat, man. But yeah, this is the
See you.
reality, and I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate it. Take care. You want to take the channel with me? Here.
See you.
All right, man. No worries. Shit. I didn't bring any flyers. You know what I'll do is, I think I have little cards. Oh man, yeah. So I'll pass these out if anything. They're like little cards, just to have my channel on them. But yeah, that went good. It was a little bit longer than I expected, but it's cool. Again, a lot of times people would just say words, you know, just, I think it's like in hopes that they confuse you so that you have nothing to rebuttal. I don't know. Because when you like take these words or these claims that people make and then try to understand them, right? Like, okay, explain to me what you're trying to say, right? Because it's not really making sense, right? And then when you put it like that, and then they try to make sense of it, then they kind of realize, oh shit, it didn't really make sense. You know, so they kind of try to backpedal from that, you know, but it's like, which is cool because at least you're realizing that what you just said didn't make any sense, right? But a lot of people, I noticed, do that, and it's because they have nothing valid to say and they don't want to look like they have nothing to say. So they just start saying like, just words. This is where like the programming comes in my opinion, right? And like a defense mechanism, you know, comes in, you know, because again, it's a battle, right? You know, and like he said, like in his head, it's not a globe because everyone will have to be lying. So again, there's nothing logical there. There's no reason there. Nothing practical. You know, no test whatsoever. You know, it's just everyone will have to be lying. And since I can't conceive that, that's my proof that it's a globe. You know, so it's like it's fucking crazy, bro. Like I don't even like to use these words, you know, but I mean, it is crazy, you know. Like, it's cool if you're just like trolling, right? Like, oh, you truly really don't know and you just troll, right? But when you truly believe these things and you truly think that way, like, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy, man. Like, but I mean, yeah, it is what it is, man. All right, let me reset this because again, when people say like, oh, outer space and the, like, when people hear this, right? Outer space and the stars have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It's completely irrelevant, right? In their heads, it's like, it is relevant, right? And it's because they have this preconceived idea of like the mainstream, for example, that places so much relevance in outer space, right? In what they're finding and all these, you know, fucking, what do they have? Telescopes out there and fucking satellites, right? Whatever the fuck. They want people to focus on all that, because if you focus on all that and believe all that, then by default you have to believe the model, right? So they have people's attention just focus in outer space and what we're doing in outer space and all of this shit, because by default, if you believe that, you have to believe the Earth is a globe. So in your head, it's like they go hand in hand, right? The globe, Earth, and outer space, and they do, because they're both concepts. That's why they go hand in hand, and that's why they just focus on outer space to reinforce the globe. Because they go hand in hand, because they're both bullshit, right? So when someone says, oh, the outer space has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, people get offended, or people get, you know, it's like, what? Because in their mind, it does. Because that's what's been pushed, that's what's been conditioned to people, right? If you believe in outer space and other planets and other suns and other, then you must believe in the heliocentric model by default. It's like a default belief if you believe in all these other things that they're saying about outer space. How can you believe all these things about outer space and then question the heliocentric model? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So everybody that buys into all these ideas about outer space and all these other planets they find and water and Mars and all this bullshit, by default, you believe in the heliocentric model. If you're even entertained, you don't even have to believe none of that. If you entertain it as something real, you don't even have to believe it. If you just entertain it, you know, you're falling into the propaganda, you know? Yeah. So yeah. So that's why when people hear someone like me saying that outer space and the lights in the sky and the luminaries, all that is completely irrelevant to the shape of the earth, again, because people have been conditioned that way, you know. But let's be real. If you ask someone, okay, if we're trying to measure whether the earth is level or not, right? And we're looking at the stars, right? For some reason that proves the earth is level, right? Let's put that in a practical sense, right? You go to someone's house, you're a carpenter, right, or whatever. You're gonna go install a carpet, right, or whatever. You go to someone's house. They want you to check whether the floor is level already to be able to install the carpet, right? Now imagine you as a practical, you know, person, you know, doing the job. You're gonna go measure the levelness of this floor, right? Imagine going in and start looking at the lights, at the ceiling lights, to measure whether the floor is level, right? Start looking at the lights, start measuring angles, right? With a fucking sextant, right? Start measuring angles to the light, right? And then step away further and measure another angle, right? And then you step away further from the light, measure a different angle. And imagine me telling you, oh, your floor is not level, it's curved. Because the angle changed the further I moved from the light. Therefore, I concluded that your floor is not level. Oh, right? You want me to prove it even more? I'm going to use this sticks and shadows experiment, right? I'm going to put a stick right underneath the light. It's not going to show any shadow, right? But I'm going to put a stick over here, 5 feet away, and it is going to show a shadow. Therefore, the floor is not level. It's curved. Durr. Now imagine somebody going in your house to measure your floor like that, whether it's level or not. Wow, you'll fucking be like, what the fuck is this for doing? Measuring, putting little sticks on the floor, measuring the shadows. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You're supposed to be measuring the levelness of the floor, not fucking playing with lights and sticks and shadows. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to measure the ground by looking at the sky and measuring angles to the lights and measuring shadow length of sticks that they put on the floor. Like, fucking retards. Like, they think that's relevant, you know? And again, nothing personal to anyone that actually believes that, you know? Back then I would probably buy into that too. Like, I probably did, I don't remember, but again, nothing personal. But that's the reality that we find ourselves in. That's the stupidity. That's the level of stupidity that we're in right now. You know, it's kind of scary if you ask me. It's a little bit scary for people not to, grown adults, not to be grounded, not to be properly grounded. That's one of the scariest things, if you ask me. You know, not fully grown human beings that are not properly grounded. That is one of the scariest things here on earth, in my opinion. Like, yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So like I was showing in this first conversation, let me see if I have it here. Maybe I can add it.
Boss man, push. Push, push, push.
Like I was showing here, for example. If you're inside a container, right? If you're inside a reference frame, right? And you have a buoyant object and then an object that's more dense than the medium that surrounds it, and you witness this separation of matter, like the dense object and the buoyant object appear to move away from each other like this, then only one of those, you know, has true motion and the other one has apparent motion, right? Because you're within the container, you know, if the container's moving, you're going to be moving with it. So something that's being left behind is going to appear to move in the opposite direction, like the apple, you know, because the camera is moving along with the van in this scenario, right? But if you understand how buoyancy works, you know, the helium balloon doesn't move itself. It requires the air, which is more dense, to push it. Now, depending on the direction the air is being forced, that's the same direction that the helium balloon is also going to get pushed. So in this case, you know, we have a camera inside the container, but we witness the motion of the helium balloon, right? And also an apparent motion of the apple, but we know that in order for the helium balloon to move, the air had to be moving, right? And in order for the air to move, the container also had to be moving, because the air can't move itself and the helium can't move itself. So it all relies on the container to create that force, that pressure, to create the buoyant effect, right? So again, depending on the direction that the air is being forced, being pushed, that's the same direction that the helium balloon is going to get pushed. And then the apple, because it's more dense in the air's not going to be able to push, and it's going to get left behind. So the apple is going to give you apparent motion. Helium balloon will have true motion, moving along with the container. So here on Earth, it's no different. When you have a helium balloon and an apple, and you let them go, it appears like there's two motions, right? Because we're within the Earth. We're literally connected to the Earth, right? But the reality is that the helium balloon has true motion because it's literally moving up through space. You know, because the air is being pushed up, which is also being pushed up by the Earth, which is an upwards motion, right? So the dense object, which cannot be pushed up by the air, simply gets left behind due to inertia. So it's only an apparent motion of objects in free fall moving down, not physical motion. You know, the physical motion is up. It's helium balloons, any buoyant object that has an upwards push is being pushed up by the air or by water, whatever medium it surrounds it. And that shows you without a shadow of a doubt that there is an upwards motion of the Earth, an upwards push of the Earth, which completely obliterates the whole globe Earth concept, you know, from the start. And that's why we have this whole campaign of motionless flat earthers, stationary flat earthers, whatever you want to call them, flooding the internet with their stupidity and nonsense. Yeah, because they're trying to bury this information. The simple information that I'm presenting here that debunks the whole heliocentric model, these motionless flat earthers, the controlled opposition, are trying to bury it too. So just like the globe Earth, the stationary flat Earth is no different. Not only are they speaking a lot of bullshit, spouting a lot of bullshit, but they're trying to conceal this information. They don't talk about it, they completely go against it, they ridicule it, no different than globe Earthers, you know? So that should show you where these flat Earthers actually are mentally, you know? They're not too far off from globe Earthers. They're probably worse in my opinion. But yeah, that's what it comes down to, you know?
What?
Alright, let me read the chat for a bit, see if there's any questions. Yes. Alright, V. Thomas, Natalie, Green, Salinellian, What is Life?
without even having.
Boom Me, Sean, Realm Walker, Vara, Michael. What's up, man? What's up to everyone else watching too? Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate the support. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, anything you guys want to share, you know, just put it in the chat and hopefully I can get to it. Let me see. Andrew, he talked to physics, more like theoretical physics. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was just basically the conversation I just had. And they were just talking about theoretical physics. It's like imaginary physics, right? And again, that's how they have people just imagining outer space and what's outside of the Earth, right? Oh, the physics outside of the Earth. You know, this is how matter behaves in outer space, and everything. You know, it's pulled to a center because of gravity, right? And blah 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 blah. So again, they just have people focus in outer space and disconnected from the reality, you know, and that's how they're able to hoodwink people, you know, at the end of the day. Yeah. Oh yeah. How the moon landings make people believe in the globe more because of the Earth rising picture. Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, they wanted to get that like picture of the globe of the Earth from the moon, right? And obviously they got a fake one. But yeah, that was the main reason, in my opinion, why they did that whole trip to the moon, just to show an image, you know, of the Earth from there, supposedly, right? And look, that's what it looks like when we just look back. You know, it's a globe, right? But yeah, that's all it was for. Nothing else. You know, people say, oh, it's because we were trying to be the first ones to space. America was trying to beat Russia, and that's why we faked it, because we're the superior country. We have the better technology, right? And we made it, right? It was an ego battle, apparently. Of why we went to the moon, right? It was an ego battle, just to show who has supremacy. Just to say we made it there first, right? And nothing to do with the shape of the Earth or to fool people that the Earth is a globe. Nah, they didn't fake it because of that. It was because they were trying to, you know, be the first ones to the moon. Because for bragging rights, right? Because they have an ego, right? A huge ego, that's why. Boom Me, Will, what do you make of different G4s reading as a higher altitude? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything like that. If I'm being honest. Nothing concrete that would indicate that. And if that was the case, then there will be something to be looked into more, you know, further, obviously. Yeah, we faked it, but we won't lie again. Yeah, we lied back then, you know. That was back then, though, right? We're not lying anymore. You know, yeah, just because we lied back then, you know, it doesn't mean we're still lying, right? That's funny.
She did, and then she got.
So what do you guys up to.
Yeah, so 2 very easy questions just to see if you're smarter than a 5th grader. You want to give it a shot?
Well, let's see. So, what sort of 5th grader from the U.S.?
Average 5th grader. It doesn't really matter. It's common sense questions. Put it that way.
Let's see.
I believe a 10-year-old has common sense somewhat, you know?
One can pray.
Yeah, right.
We shall
All right.
see.
So I have 3 box trucks. They're completely sealed.
Yes?
They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple hanging from a string.
Yes.
The
So,
only-
a pendulum swing, right?
Just a swing. The difference between these 2 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3,
So, one is stationary, right? One is going forward,
yes, and one is accelerating in reverse.
and one is going backwards.
reverse.
Accelerating.
Reverse.
Yeah, you have reverse going backwards.
Yes. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Which one is at rest?
At rest.
Okay, let's see.
A, B, or C?
Let's see if I know my physics, mechanical physics. So if it's at rest, and we're assuming it's going from rest, accelerating.
Yes.
So it's not like a constant
No,
acceleration.
it's not a constant.
Constant
It's just one is at rest, one is
Should
in
be B,
the.
hopefully.
It is B. So why would you say B though?
Okay, so if it was accelerating like this, right? Accelerating
Forward.
forwards, conservation of mass would push it backwards.
Okay.
And then if you're reversing this backwards, it'd be going forwards.
Forward. Okay, fair enough. So if it's not moving
It has to be B.
and it's at rest,
Yeah.
it's B. Exactly. You got it.
Yeah,
So
do I
obviously,
know my physics?
yeah, you got it. So
Do I know how to back up of a car?
yeah. So obviously, accelerating forward will be A, and it's
Yes.
obviously it's due to inertia. So because
Yeah,
the
exactly.
apple has inertia, it gets left behind.
Yeah,
So the
it's
whole
like
thing-
when you accelerate in a car, you push backwards.
Yes.
When you brake, push
But
forward.
you're not being forced to the back of your seat. It's the back of your seat
Seats
pushing
yeah,
up
no.
against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
know.
so you feel a fictitious force pulling you back,
Yeah.
but it's actually the car pushing up against you.
I know.
You know, so that's the reality. Okay, perfect. You got the
Mechanics.
first. Yeah.
All
Easy.
right.
So the second one, similar,
great.
but instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So
Yes.
out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Yeah, it's still B.
Yes, it is
Right?
B, and it's for the exact same reason as the first.
Yes.
Yes, it's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's accelerating forward?
Which one's accelerating forward? So let's accelerating forward. It should be A.
You're saying
Accelerating
is that your
forward.
final answer?
Yes.
So in this one,
Was it C?
it's actually C. So the reason why it's C, there's 2 reasons why.
Wait, let me think about
Yeah,
it. Let me
sure,
think
sure.
about it. So when you're accelerating forward, so now so C was backwards, right? Like this. Now it's on the ground.
Yeah, now it's,
And then
it's
the
just a
mass
helium
is
balloon.
up here, so then
It goes forward. So the 2 reasons is because helium is less dense than air.
Yes.
That's the first reason. That's why it floats, and that's why you have to tie the string in the bottom. The second reason is the force. So as soon as I apply a force in this direction, for example,
Yes.
all of the air that's inside of the truck is also being forced through space.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in the same direction
Yeah.
that the air is also being pushed.
Uh-huh.
Because if I push the air in this direction, the helium balloon will get pushed in that same
Yes.
direction. Because that's what a buoyant effect is.
Yes.
It's a chain reaction of a force. That's
Yeah.
what buoyancy is. So here, I can show that here. This is a buoyant object inside of water, obviously.
Yes.
If I apply a force in this direction, what direction will the ball go?
this
Yes,
direction.
it goes with it.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
It goes with it. Again, buoyancy follows the same direction of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
force. So let me ask you this. So with the apple,
Let's see if I know my
with the apple, obviously it just gets left behind. So the apple has
It's
apparent
denser.
it has apparent motion.
parent.
Apparent motion because the apple didn't move back.
Yes.
It's the truck that moved forward.
Yes.
The balloon has true motion because
Yes.
it is being pushed forward to space. So buoyancy is a true force, right?
Yes.
So if I have a helium balloon here on Earth and an apple, and I release them both, which
Yes.
one of those 2 has true motion
So you release them.
here on Earth? And I release a helium balloon and I release an apple.
So right, the apple because it goes downwards.
What about the helium balloon?
It goes upwards.
Why does the helium balloon go up, you think?
Because it's lighter than the air, so it floats.
So the
up.
air's pushing it up?
It's not pushing it up. It's rather floating. Up.
Floating up? How does it float up? What's pushing up the helium balloon, or what's moving the helium balloon?
What's moving the helium balloon?
Up.
Because there's no attraction force, right? It's not getting attracted up. It would be, I guess, the air, right?
Yeah, the air is pushing it
Air
up.
is
So just like
pushing
the
it
van, I mean the truck here, when I force the air in that direction, the air pushes the helium in the same
Yes.
direction because air is more dense.
Yes.
So the fact that helium balloon rises obviously tells us that the air is also pushing it up.
Yes.
But what's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium?
What is it?
It's the Earth.
Yeah.
So the Earth it's actually exerting a pushing force, and it's not pulling you down. So the reason why you're stuck to the earth is not because it's pulling you down to it, it's because the earth is literally pushing up against you right
Because
now.
it's spinning.
No, it's because it's literally just moving up through space. So here's the thing. When you release an object into free fall, everyone believes that this has true motion that goes down, but the reality is it only has apparent motion. Just like the apple has apparent motion and it's the container moving, it's the same thing here on Earth. When you release this has apparent motion that it goes down because it's the Earth that's moving up. So the Earth is the container that's moving up. And that's so the Earth, again, buoyancy shows us that there is an upward push of the Earth. What is causing the Earth to move up? What's the mechanism of the Earth's motion? I don't know what that is. So the fact is, though, the Earth is exerting an upwards push. And have you heard of the normal force of the Earth? Yes. So that's the only true force that exists in nature. It's the normal force. The pulling force of gravity, however, is just a concept, a theory that objects accelerate down in free fall, because that has never been proven or detected. So that's why it's just So the only force is up. So what does that mean, right? So you believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Well, it's not a perfect sphere.
But sure, a globe, you could say, oblique. All right. You understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? So if you're standing here, up is this, up in every direction away from the sun, right? If we could prove physically, and that's what buoyancy shows us, that the Earth is pushing up and not pulling you down, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
So what's your point?
My point is that in order for people to believe in the ball Earth, they first have to believe in gravity being a pulling force, because if we could prove that it's the Earth pushing up, and instead, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanded and it would just explode to be able to move up in every direction at the same time. So the fact is, the Earth is just an extended level plane that's moving up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same. It's not right. So the Earth pushing up debunks the whole heliocentric model. It's the number one proof to debunk the globe. So the fact that the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull, will be the number one proof to debunk the globe.
So what's the big point then?
So the point is that we've been lied to about what the Earth actually is. So the Earth is not a globe. It's a level extended plane that's moving up through space. It's not flat, it's level. Because over 95% of flat earthers claim the Earth is motionless. So they claim the Earth is static, which is a complete misrepresentation of reality. So they're buying into an idea of gravity, flat earthers, but they don't call it gravity, they call it something else. So they believe that objects accelerate down.
Okay, so now let's say it's a plane, right?
It's a level plane, yes.
All right, it's a
pushing
level
up.
plane's going up.
Yes.
So how do we explain years? How do we explain
Years?
Yeah, the fact that, I don't know, there's seasons on the planet.
Sure. So you're talking about...
the fact that
so a year is...
23.5 degrees, and the fact that you have a 24-hour day,
So
the
a 20
pole in 12 hours.
Sure. So all of these are just concepts, and I can come up with a concept too to fit the level Earth, but that doesn't prove whether the Earth is globe or not. The physics proves that. But here, let me tell you this. So you're saying how would a year work, right? A year is 365 days, right?
Not only an year, the fact that it's longer, right? So if you're at the North Pole, you have a 6-month day, 6-month night.
Yes.
At the equator, you have a 12-hour day and 12-hour night.
So all that has to do with the motion of the sun. So depending how the sun moves above us, it's going to illuminate other parts on Earth more than other parts. So it's just, the seasons have to do with the motion of the sun. So the motion of the sun above us.
So then what would be the idea? What, the sun goes around the Earth?
Yes, the sun goes around the Earth. It's not the Earth that goes around the sun spinning. That's just made up.
So then the idea would be that it's geocentric?
Geocentric.
And then what about the stars?
The stars? Again, when it comes to the
What
luminaries...
do you say about the stars?
Yes.
And about the black holes?
Sure.
And about
Sure. Everything about outer space and the stars and planets and all of that are just, it's a concept. I don't know if you knew outer space is just a concept. So it's not something that they can physically prove that actually exists. So they claim to have satellites that they shoot millions and millions of miles away, right? And then they send back images, right? But they look...
Okay.
So all of that is...
So while I'm at it, because...
Sure.
But, so what about the moon? And what about the other planets we see and the interaction, the forces of interaction, right? Between...
Well, okay, what forces are you talking about between moons? Huh?
So the tides. So,
the tides. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the tides? Like you're trying to like what's causing the tides is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my opinion, again, the tides, in my opinion, have nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. But I'll tell you, in my opinion, what's causing them. So in my opinion, the water being level here on Earth, it's level perpendicular to the vertical force of the Earth, right? But the vertical force of the Earth is a push. So in my opinion,
Okay, so
be-
then, let's say it's pushing.
Yes.
Right? Let's say we're doing. So then
Sure.
you'd have to push an infinite amount. Right?
yeah, it's
So-
pushing up. I don't think the Earth is moving in a straight line though, perfectly straight line.
Okay.
And
so
that's
it's
why
not
we have
moving in,
a perfectly straight line up. To us, it is up.
So if it's not moving in a perfectly straight line,
In my
it's
opinion.
more like this.
It's in my
Or would it be
opinion.
like a curve like that?
No, in my opinion, it's probably a cycle. Again, I
Maybe
can
like,
prove
like
it.
a helix? Like this?
No. It's moving up like this, relative to us, right? Just moving
Yeah.
up. But outside of the Earth, the true motion could be some kind of, it's probably doing a cycle like this
So then wait, so
and
then
coming back. But we're always on top of it, like this. It's always pushing up against our feet.
so what? It's moving like this.
No. If we're on top of it like that and it's in some kind of cycle, it's moving like this.
Okay, but then
Yeah.
wouldn't you be upside down?
No, because what gives us down is the upwards motion. So down is the opposite of up. And up is the motion of the Earth. So wherever the Earth is moving, that's our up. The opposite will be down. We don't fall off the Earth because the Earth is pushing up against you.
So
Doesn't
it's
matter what
pushing up
direction-
against you, but it's also rotating.
Yeah, but outside of the Earth, it doesn't matter what direction it's
But
moving.
there's no outer space, right? 'Cause
Well,
you
there
said-
is an area outside of the Earth, in my opinion.
Yeah, how
that-
big is this area?
I have no clue. I don't know what's outside of the Earth. Nobody's been outside of the Earth, but the Earth the Earth exists
They've been
within.
on the moon and they have floated around.
Yeah, but the moon footage is. If you believe that footage, then that's your own belief, right? But in my opinion, the whole moon landing, if you go back and look at it, it's laughable. It's ridiculously, painfully
Okay, so what?
bad, literally. Like,
Okay, so then what would make you say that? Just curious.
you could see wires from the astronauts when they're walking on the moon. Supposedly, they fall and then they get pulled back up, and you can see the reflection of wires when they do.
Where do we see the reflection of the wires?
On the videos that they show. Yeah, if you look at if you look at the moon landing footage and actually look at it unbiasedly, it's a joke. It's a joke. I hate to say it, but it's just.
Okay, so what else? What else?
Well, everything about outer space, it's a concept that has nothing to do with the actual dimensions of the Earth. So here, let me tell you this: if the Earth was a globe, right,
Yeah.
and it has curvature, we should be able to physically measure that curve, shouldn't we? Okay. And how much?
Okay. So the light. All right. Speed of light. Okay.
Okay.
So how do we know the speed of light? So we have curved mirrors shooting a light. That mirror, this curve, is shooting it back. That's how we measure the speed of light.
Okay, speed of light, in my opinion, is a concept, but even if you believed it, that has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. That
Wait, so
doesn't.
what do you mean believing the speed of light? Like,
So the speed of light is a mathematical concept.
okay, so
Yes,
so
it's
we
not
wouldn't
something
believe-
that's been proven.
What do you mean?
Like the whole idea of light traveling through space at the speed it does, that has never been actually proven.
So what would be your definition of proof?
It's something that can be tested, measured, and repeated.
But it has mirrors.
Okay, let's say it has been. How does that prove a globe? How does that prove curvature of the Earth?
So we prove it because when you look at the horizon,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We prove it's curved. Because if it was flat, right? Then the idea would be if we go up in a plane 30,000 feet, we'd be able to see 500 miles, 1,000 miles.
You could see, if you want on a mountain, you could see pretty far. What prevents you from seeing infinitely is, first, we don't have infinite vision, so we do have a limit to perspective, so how far we can see. Second, we have the atmosphere that's in the way as well. So the further you look through the atmosphere, the foggier it's going to get, because you're looking through atmosphere, you're looking through moisture, right? So there's two things that prevent you from looking infinitely. It's the limit of perspective and the atmosphere. So you couldn't look infinitely, even if the Earth was level.
100 miles out, right?
Yeah.
When there is no atmosphere.
Well, there's always atmosphere.
No, it's 1,000
The atmosphere is always here. Like right now, there's moisture here right now.
If you go up 1,000 miles in the world,
The higher you elevate, you'd be able to see further.
yeah, you'd be able to see farther.
Here's
You'd
another
start
thing.
seeing the curvature.
You don't see the curvature because if the Earth was truly curving at the horizon, the higher you elevate, the lower you would have to look down on the curve, and the horizon doesn't drop below your feet. It rises. It appears to rise
So the
with
real
you.
question would be,
Yeah.
so let's say you were to get into some rock,
Yeah.
somehow, and you go up 10,000 miles and somehow see the globe. Somehow, right? Hypothetically. Would that make you think that there is a globe?
Yeah, but here's the thing. People have done that, and the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through CGI images like this, because these are NASA official images, and they don't have real photographs, or through GoPro lenses like this. So a fisheye lens, you're familiar with the fisheye lens? So any action camera that you see in high altitude showing this curvature, It's just a lens effect. So that's the only way you're going to see curvature is through camera trickery or CGI images, because the curvature of the Earth doesn't exist in reality.
So then, I guess the last question is
Yeah, no worries.
So where would you learn? Not learn. Where did you come up with? I'm guessing you're not born thinking of the.
No. So I will admit I was kind of a flat earther, you could say, but that's all controlled. It's all bullshit too. So I came across the fact that the Earth is pushing up not that long ago, like 2-3 years ago, and that is the nail in the coffin. That debunks the globe Earth 100%. Yeah, like that obliterates the whole globe Earth concept. The fact that the Earth is moving up, and it's not. When you release an object into free fall, there's two options: either the object moves down to the Earth, or the Earth moves up to the object. Those are the two options that we have. And the fact is, it's the Earth that moves up to the object in free fall.
How are you thinking that that's not the fact that it's going down?
Yes, because our every smartphone, for example, your smartphone has a built-in accelerometer inside. So what that does, it detects the presence of a force. So when you have it here at rest on Earth, it detects 1G. So when it's at rest and I accelerate it from being at rest in any direction, up, down, it increases from 1G. It detects the increase in force. It detects the acceleration, right? If I have it at rest like this and I release it into free fall, people claim that it accelerates down to the Earth. However, the accelerometer doesn't detect that acceleration. It detects 0 G-force in free fall. Because if I was to put an accelerometer on a helium balloon and release that helium balloon, that accelerometer will detect an upwards force. So that shows me that that helium balloon is being pushed up and the object in free fall is not. So it's the Earth that's creating that upwards push that meets the object in free fall. So the object in free fall never moved down to the Earth. It's the Earth that moved up to the
That
object.
really just doesn't have enough time to figure it out when they're going down.
No, you could drop it from however high you want. And it picks it up instantly. That's the thing. If I have it at rest and I actually accelerate it or move it in any direction, it instantly registers that force. Instantly. What happens in free fall, it instantly detects a deceleration. Instantly. It doesn't detect an acceleration, it detects a deceleration. So again, that shows that it's the Earth that comes up to an object in free fall, which again debunks the whole heliocentric model.
Of course, and the Earth is the center of the universe, or what?
I would say yes, it's the only place that exists, in my opinion. Prove me otherwise.
So wait, so the sun doesn't exist, right?
No, it does exist.
So, but wait, you said it
It's
didn't
part of the
exist.
Earth system. The sun and the moon and the
So
stars
Earth
are
is
part
like,
of the Earth
so
system.
wait, is the sun orbiting the Earth, or is like how
The sun is moving above the Earth. I don't know how
I
it's
see.
moving exactly.
So we got the Earth here.
Yes,
right?
the Earth is this
sun
table.
Is like going like
The sun is tiny, moving around the Earth somehow. I don't know how. I don't know how it's moving. But that's what gives us
So
their
we don't
seasons.
know how the sun is moving, but we
No.
do know that the Earth is
Yes.
going straight up.
Yes, because physics shows us that the Earth is level pushing up. I don't need to know how big the Earth is. I don't need to know how fast it's moving up. All I need to know that it is level pushing up, and physics shows me that. Yeah, and that literally again debunks the whole heliocentric model.
For the last 500 years. I
Yeah.
get it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it, man. You guys want to give this a shot?
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'll get right to the point. You guys believe the Earth is a globe, right?
Yeah.
The Earth is a ball. Why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
A ball?
A ball. A globe. In
That's what
a,
I've been taught my whole life.
yeah. I mean, other than that, is there any other reason why you believe it?
Pictures
Pictures?
that we've seen, yeah.
Okay. So here, let me show you these pictures real quick, because I do have some. Let me see. They're right here. Here we are. So this is an image from NASA from 2002, and this is an image from NASA from 2012. So these are official NASA images, but they admit they're all CGI. So every image that we've seen of the Earth from space that like this as a globe, they're all cartoons. So there's no real photograph of the Earth from outer space that exists, admittedly so. So not even up for debate. So again, they're showing us these images, in my opinion, because they're trying to lie to us about what the Earth actually is.
You think it's flat?
It's not flat. It's actually level, and there's a huge difference between flat and level. So the Earth is level because it has orientation, which means it has a force, so it's moving up. So the Earth is a level plane that's pushing up. So gravity, you know how they tell us that gravity is a pulling force of the Earth?
Yeah.
So when you release an object, it gets pulled down to the Earth?
Yes.
The reality is the Earth that's constantly pushing up. Yeah, so when you release this object, it's the Earth that comes up to meet it.
Well, there's many forces that, like, it's not just gravity. There's a pressure gradient force.
Yes, pressure gradient force, which is caused by the upwards push of the Earth. The pressure gradient
Yeah.
is an effect of a force. Yeah, and the pressure gradient shows the direction of the force too, because you have the more dense at the bottom and the less dense on top, which is in the front of the force. So the fact that we have less dense air on top shows that the air is being compressed down here because it's being pushed up from down here. So the point of contact is the Earth with their feet, not us.
So how fast is the Earth moving up at the same rate, like 9.1?
So there is this debate. Okay, so an object in free fall measures a 9.8 meters per second acceleration, right? So the reality is either this is accelerating down at 9.8 meters per second, the Earth is moving up at 9.8 meters per second, or this is decelerating at 9.8 meters per second. So those are the three options. In my opinion, this is decelerating at 9.8 meters per second. So a lot of people would claim also that the Earth is accelerating at 9.8 meters per second, but in my opinion, that doesn't make any sense because then the Earth will have to be accelerating to infinity.
Yeah, where would it go?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't buy into that idea, even though there is other rising Earthers that claim that. I think they're just trying to muddy the waters. But in my opinion, again, I can't prove this part, but in my opinion, it's decelerating. Objects are decelerating in free fall. And it's the Earth that's just constantly moving up. Yeah, so that's the reality. So again, obviously you guys believe the Earth is a ball, but if the Earth was a ball and moving up, it wouldn't work because that would mean the Earth would have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction at the same time. To be able to, so in order for people to believe in the ball Earth, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull. Because if we could prove that it's a push, then again, the whole globe Earth would just fall apart. You can't push up if it's a ball. The fact is, the Earth is just in a level extended plane that's pushing up in one direction.
What about the seasons?
So the seasons have to do with the motion of the sun. So obviously the sun has heat, and wherever the sun is closer to, it's going to be summer for you. So so that the seasons just have to do with the motion of the sun. That's nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
The Earth is moving too.
Yeah, it's moving up, but it's not moving through
It should
space.
have to do with the shape of the Earth, like how like Antarctica is like.
You're talking about the tilt, right?
Yeah. The tilt.
So here, let me just show you this map, and I don't go with any map because in my opinion every map is wrong. But if we were just to take a globe Earth like this and flatten it out like this is what the Earth would look like. But I completely deny this map. I don't agree with this map, but this is what it would look like, right? So the sun just does circles above the Earth. So whenever it's summer here in North America, closer to the center, that means the sun is doing little circles above. So that means the sun is closer, so we feel the heat, and we have longer days in the north. When it's our winter in the south summer, the sun, in my opinion, could be doing a bigger circle. So now the sun is further from the center, and that's why it's colder. And now they have summer on the southern hemisphere. And then it's just the motion of the sun above the Earth. That's what the seasons are. But it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. Here, let me just show you guys one more proof besides gravity that debunks the globe. Do you guys know the radius of the Earth that they tell us? Because obviously,
That I remember,
so the radius of the Earth, they tell us, is 3,959 miles. And they have to give us this number because they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they need to know the radius of orbit if they're supposedly going around it, right? So these are the numbers. So based on the radius of the Earth and using a simple calculation like the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be every mile. And every mile there should be 8 inches per mile squared. What that means, in the first mile there should be an 8-inch curve, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile it should be 6 feet of curvature. And in 10 miles there should be 66 feet of curvature, which is like a 6-story building. So how do we measure for that curve, right? To see if it's actually there. This is a very easy way. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, filled with water, and we build a level structure above that lake, the water is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it, because when water is contained and at rest, the surface always forms an equal surface, which is level, which is horizontal. They're trying to tell us that the surface of water is bending 8 inches per mile squared, which is 6 feet in 3 miles. So they're trying to tell us that water is bending down 6 feet in 3 miles and 66 feet in 10 miles. Now imagine going to a lake that was 10 miles across. They want you to believe that the end of that lake is 66 feet below you at the starting point, which is a physical impossibility for water to be able to bend and maintain that shape on the surface. This will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth, is a physical measurement of the Earth will show that there is no curvature, regardless of the size of the Earth. Because now people might say, oh, it's just much bigger than that. It's double the size, right? Well, it doesn't matter. You still need curvature to make a ball, which water doesn't do this. Water requires a container, like a bowl. That's why the oceans and the lakes are like craters, because the water fills that void and the surface always equalizes. Water doesn't have the ability to stick to a ball and bend around it. That's retarded. I hate to say it, but people believe that because that's what they've been shown, like this, cartoons. But the reality is much different than we think. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, I know you said it's just what you've been told, but Is there anything else that maybe convinces you that the Earth is a globe?
Just like what I've been taught in school, like in pictures and like displays and all
Fair
that,
enough.
everything's a circle.
Yeah.
I feel like even when I was like taught in my climatology class, kind of just
Well, I mean, they call it atmosphere. You know, they put a sphere in
yeah.
there.
But we
You
also
know.
talked about like the water and how like it moves and whatever, and sometimes like it could be higher sea level than other areas.
That's the tides. In my opinion, the tides, this is just my opinion, this has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, but in my opinion, the tides happen because the Earth is not moving in a perfectly straight line, in my opinion. So the water is deviating because it's reorienting to the force of the Earth, which is up. But because the tides are like deviating, in my opinion, that's why we get a high tide and a low tide, is because the water is reorientating to stay with the Earth's vector. So the water follows the Earth's vector, which is an upwards motion, not a pull. You know? So that's the reality. So here, let me give you guys my channel. Do you guys have any questions for me before you guys go?
I'm just curious what this
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
No, yeah. So yeah, here's my channel. Here, I'll give you guys one each. I'm live right now, so you guys can check it out.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I go to USC, UCR, and I talk about this because it is the #1 censored subject on Earth because it's the easiest to prove and it's the biggest lie on Earth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure we're lying about.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of things,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
you guys have a good day. Appreciate the chat. Thank you. That went really good for just jumping into the conversation right away. Yeah, noticing my lips are like super dry. Fuck. Well, that's what happens when you're just like talking nonstop, huh? Yeah, I didn't think that conversation was gonna go as good as it did because I jumped right into the subject right off the bat. So I didn't think it was gonna go good, but it actually did. They actually understood. Like, it's crazy how like some people are just completely like out of it, like they don't get it, right? It has to be like their own personal bias. It has to be that. It has to be because they didn't have a bias. They obviously were just like, oh, this is what I was told. I didn't feel like they were trying to defend it. I literally just felt that they were literally genuine and trying to learn what I have to say. They were trying to understand what I'm trying to say, right? And they understood it because that's how they came into the conversation, you know, trying to understand what I'm trying to say, right? With most people, it's like they're trying to prove me wrong now. They're trying to find flaws in my life, which is fine, you know, that's good to do, but they don't go beyond that. They just get stuck there, and it's a battle, you know what I'm saying? And then when I'm saying, like, the answers to their questions are just going over their heads, you know, and it's, again, because they're just like tunnel vision, you know, I'm an enemy now, right, type of thing with most people, right? But this last conversation, none of that. It was the complete opposite. They were open, you know, and it went really good. Really, really good in my opinion.
This way.
I'm gonna get one more. We'll see. You guys want to try it? Do you guys have time? Because this is gonna take like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I'm
Yeah?
with it.
Okay. Okay, so 2 very easy questions. So here I have a box truck, and they're all on a level surface, right? They're completely sealed, and they all have an apple hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, in other words, it's still. One is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, can you tell me which one is at rest? Which one?
This one,
Yes, you got it. How did you know that one's at rest?
because it's staying still.
Yes, yeah, you got it. That's really good. Which one's accelerating forward?
And this one,
Yes, how did you know that one's accelerating forward?
it's going this way.
Yeah, yeah, the apple's being left behind. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, perfect. It's due to inertia. Yeah, have you heard of inertia, the word? No? Well, it's due to inertia, but you got it, man. You got it. All right, so the second one, very similar. The only difference is instead of an apple, is a helium balloon inside. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
This one.
Yeah, that was a good guess. But yeah, it is V, and it's for the same reason as the first. It's because it's not moving. It's staying vertical, right? So out of these 3, which one is accelerating forward?
I'll say this one.
A? Okay, and this one's actually C. And there's two reasons why it's C. So the first reason is helium is less dense than air. So the air is more dense than helium. So when I accelerate this direction, the air is also being forced, and because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in that same direction. So that's what a buoyant effect would be. But yeah, you did really good. You guys got it. So here, let me give you my channel here.
Right there.
And you can check it out. You might see yourself there. You know.
Thank you so
That was
much.
really good. Yeah, thank you.
You can go to the store for the last 15 minutes. Okay. See your Mr. Outstanding? Meet right there at 1:15. Okay. Okay, go. My hand here.
Yeah, it looked like they were in middle school or something. Like little girls that came up. They had like a supervisor with them though, which is cool. Yeah, I wasn't gonna get into the subject with her. I was just gonna do the 2 questions. And I guarantee you that once I explained the buoyant question and then I showed the experiment I did with the helium balloon and apple, I can almost guarantee you that they will get it correct. You know, because a lot of people might say like, oh, will a 5th grader get this? And it's like, yeah, it's pretty easy to understand. Like, a child knows a helium balloon floats, you know, and it's less dense, you know. So if you explain to them, you know, why a helium balloon reacts, you know, because the air is more dense and it pushes it in a particular, then when you show them these experiments of helium balloons and apples hanging from strings and they start to move in any particular direction, it's only common sense to know what direction that's moving. You know, it's I'll be more surprised if they didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't get it, that just shows that our education system is literally fucking us. Like, you know, I mean, we know it is, but even more, you know what I'm saying? Like, that just shows that they're taking, like, the critical thinking part of people, you know, kids, out, right? Because that's what that would show, in my opinion, that if they can't understand this, you know, common sense question, in my opinion, then yeah, then they have problem, you know, trusting their own common sense, in my opinion. They have a problem or a lack in critical thinking skills, you know, which is a problem, in my opinion, obviously. But it is what it is, you know. Alright, what time is it? 1:42. What?
Boss man, question. How you doing, man? How you doing, sir? Sunset Boulevard, Beverly Hills, West LA, USC. How you doing?
Martin Allen, John, who else is new? I think that's it. Alright, Cal 40, what's up?
Question. Boss man. Excuse me, sir, question.
A little scared.
Ladies and gentlemen, question. No question. Just one.
Sean just got attacked by a bunch of gatekeepers in Level Earth Observer's comment section. That's funny. I think it's funny how these like motionless flat earthers have like the knee-jerk reaction, huh? Same thing like the globe earthers, you know. It's kind of it's funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty funny. It's when you entertain it too much, it just starts to get pathetic, you know. Like, It's just, you know, it can only be funny for so long, you know? Then it just becomes a burden.
Wait, okay.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people do want to try it, but they're shy, which I get it, you know? I'm kind of an introvert myself, so...
No one's here.
So yeah, you know, I don't think, you know, I would approach a public table with cameras on it. Maybe, I don't know. But I get it. Could be a little intimidating, you know. Just the cameras alone, you know. Andrew, I reckon the tides are drained and pumped back in certain places, some more than others. Obviously, just my opinion. I mean, that would make sense if the oceans weren't connected, right? If the oceans weren't connected as one huge body of water, like if they were separate bodies of water, then I could see how some are being drained more than others, and then it could give you different tides, different high tides and different low tides, different, you know, tidal ranges pretty much. Yes. Oh, yeah, you guys want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very easy. What grade are you guys in?
Sixth.
You guys in 6th grade? Oh, all right, cool. Okay, so first question here. So I have 3 box trucks, right? They're completely sealed and they're all on a level surface. They all have an apple hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? B. Yeah, you guys all got it. Yeah, that was really good. Why would you guys say B?
Because it's like hanging down.
It's not moving. Yeah, perfect. You guys got it. Pretty easy. Which one's accelerating forward?
A.
Okay, there's more A's than C's, but it is A. How did you guys know it was A?
Because when you backwards.
Yeah, it swings back. Yeah, and it's due to inertia. Yeah, but yeah, it swings back because of. All right, perfect. You guys got it. So the second one is very similar. The only difference, instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Yes, and it's for the exact same reason as the first. It's because it's not moving, right? Which one's accelerating forward? A? Okay, this one's actually C. You got it. So there's 2 reasons why it's C. So I don't know if you guys knew, air is more dense than helium. And that's why helium rises, right? Because air is more dense. So when I apply a force and the truck accelerates this way, all of the air that's inside of the truck is also being forced that way. And because air is more dense than helium, is able to push the helium balloon along with it. So the air pushes the helium along with it. That's why. Because it can't do that with the apple, because the apple is more dense than the air. So the air can't push the apple, right? But it can push the helium. So that's what buoyancy is. You guys heard of buoyancy?
Yeah.
So when something floats in water, right? So this is a buoyant object, right? And I can show this here.
Are you okay with me taking a picture?
Yeah, definitely. If I apply a force in this direction, what direction do you think the ball is gonna go?
That way.
No, you guys got it. It goes with it. Remember? A buoyant force always goes with the force because the air is able to the water is able to push the ball with it because the water is more dense. So again, no different than the helium balloon. It goes with it. So here, let me show you guys. This is the true question to see if you guys are smarter than a 5th grader. Okay, so I did this experiment in a cargo van with the helium balloon and an apple. What direction did it accelerate here? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
You guys got it. You guys are really smart. Yeah, perfect. Because again, the helium balloon shows you what direction the air is moving, right? So if I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Up.
So what direction is the air moving?
Up.
Yeah, because the air is pushing it up because air is more dense than helium. So you guys all were told that gravity is a pulling force of the Earth, right? So the reality, I don't know if you guys knew, gravity as a pulling force is just the theory. So that means it has never been proven. Because the fact is, it's the Earth that's pushing up against you. It's not pulling you down. So the Earth is pushing up against you, and that upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, and that's why helium balloons go up. Because the whole entire Earth is moving up right now. So gravity is a upwards motion of the Earth. So gravity is not a pull of the Earth. like we're being told. So that's the reality. So yeah, so you guys got it. You guys are really smart. So here, let me give you guys my YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's tough.
We're gonna be in the
And then,
video.
oh yeah, you guys could check it out later.
Can I get a picture with you?
Yeah, you guys can get a picture.
Really?
I'm gonna subscribe.
Oh wait.
There you go. All right, here, let me give you guys a card each.
I love cards.
Yeah.
I even have
So
an ID.
here, I have a few. You guys can share it. That's my channel. You guys can check it out. And then you guys will probably see yourselves there. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. You can have one too. You guys got one? Everyone got one?
Me.
Oh, you need one? All right, cool.
Thank you so
You guys can
much.
take it away. No problem. You guys take care. You too. Yeah.
Are we gonna be on YouTube?
Oh yeah, you guys will be on YouTube. Yeah, I'm live right now. That was cool. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Literally what I was just saying, you know, that if you explain it to them and then show them, you know, in the experiment based on what they just learned, they're going to get it. You know, they're going to get it, you know, because it's common sense. It's literally common sense. Come on. 6th graders got it. You know, I'm telling you, like, common sense, in my opinion, like, starts to develop when you're like 7, 8 years old. You know, 7, 8 years old, your common sense is starting to develop. It's schools that stump that, you know, because naturally we want to learn as when we're children. I have kids of my own, so I see that we want to learn. We want to do things for ourselves. We want to expand our knowledge, right? You know, hey, what's up? You guys want to give this a shot?
Yeah.
All right, all right, real quick, we'll do. Okay. So, I have 3 box trucks here, and they're all completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So, out of these 3, which one is at rest? Which one's not moving, pretty much? Okay, B. Yeah, what would you say, B?
Because it's straight.
Yeah, pretty much. The apple's not swinging.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's at rest. That's what shows. Okay, which one's accelerating forward?
Hey.
Okay, you got it. How did you know it?
Wait.
Because when it's going forward, the movement, it goes back.
Yeah. The apple gets left behind.
Yeah.
So it just appears to swing back. Yeah, you got it, A. Okay, one more.
Alright.
And it's pretty similar, but instead of an apple is a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Okay, yeah, and it's for the exact same reason as the first. Which one's accelerating forward? Okay, you got it. How did you know it was C?
It's moving forward, right?
Okay, but how did you know that? Oh, it's moving forward with the truck. But how is a helium balloon being pushed forward?
I don't know, actually.
Okay, no, it was a good guess though. But yeah, I can explain it. It's 2
Yeah.
reasons why. So the first reason is air is more dense than helium. That's the first reason. And the second reason is a force. So depending on the direction of the force, that's the direction the helium balloon is going to react. Because when you apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's inside of the truck is also being forced in that same direction through space. And because air is more dense than helium, it's able to push it along with it. So you got it right. It does move along with it. But if I apply a force in the opposite direction, then the air pushes it in the opposite direction because that's the direction the air is moving. You know? So okay, so this is the true question to see if you're smarter than a 5th grader.
Alright, right.
So here, we created the experiment with a helium balloon and an apple. So what direction would you say I accelerated here? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
Okay, would you say to the right as well?
Left.
You say left? No, I was to the right.
Never.
Hey, the 6th graders that were just here before, they actually got it right. So, so I don't know, that's not really that good. No, but yeah, so this is the correct answer. So helium balloon will always get pushed in the same direction the air is being pushed. So if I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Why does it go up?
Because it's denser.
It's less dense than air, right? And the air is pushing it up. So what's pushing up the air to push up the helium? Well, that's the air, the wind. What's pushing up the wind or the air up to be able to push up the helium? Like, why doesn't the helium balloon go this way or down? Why does it go up?
Gravity.
Gravity, yeah. But the gravity of the Earth is a push, not a pull. So the Earth right now is not pulling you down towards it, it's pushing up against you, and that same upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, which is pushing up helium balloons. So when you release an object into free fall, everybody believes that this moves down to the Earth, but the reality is when I release this, it's the Earth that comes up to the object in free fall. So a downward force of gravity has never been proven or detected. So that's why gravity as a pulling force is just theory. So it has never been proven because it doesn't exist. So the only force of the Earth is up. It's a push. So it's an upwards motion of the Earth. That's what gravity is. Yeah, so you guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
So you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? If you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction, or in every direction away from the center. So if we could prove that the Earth is pushing up and not pulling you down, and that's what physics shows, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if there was a ball? It wouldn't work. It would mean it would have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction away from the center. It would just explode, so it wouldn't work.
Wait, so do you think the Earth is flat?
So the Earth is level. And the fact that the gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull, is the #1 proof that debunks the globe Earth. Because the Earth is actually just an extended level
Wait,
plane.
so you dead ass think the Earth is flat?
It's level. So the difference between flat and level is that level Earth has upwards motion. It's an upwards push of the Earth. So the Earth is in the level plane and it's moving up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same. So China and Australia are across the way. They're not underneath the ball. So that's the reality. Motionless flat earthers, that's the mainstream flat earth, they all claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny the upwards push of the Earth. So they're worse than the globe Earth. I hate to say it. So that's the difference between flat and level, is that level requires a motion. Flat is retarded. So that's the #1 proof that debunks the globe. If I was to ask you respectfully before you go, why do you believe the Earth is a ball? Real quick before you go.
Because, like, all the pictures and everything, you know?
Okay, all the
And solar
images?
system,
Okay.
it's a ball.
What if I was to tell you that everything they show us about outer space, including the globe Earth pictures, is all CGI? Like this and this. So all the globes from outer space like this that they show us are all cartoons. Yeah, they're not real.
I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah, don't believe me. Look into this yourself, because I came across this 10 years ago, and I can tell you by far it's the #1 censor subject. It's the biggest lie on Earth, and it's the #1 censor subject because it's the easiest to prove.
But why would somebody lie about that?
Because they're trying to dumb people down so that they're more easily controllable. So they're trying to make you trust other people that are just going to take advantage of you. So that's what it's about. It's about gaining on trust. That's what it's about. All right, man. No worries, man. Take care. Here. Here's my channel. Here, you can take a look. I'm live right now, too. All right, take care. Yeah, you can share that. Oh, shit. 2 hours.
What is this?
2 very easy questions to see if people are smarter than a 3rd grader. You guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So this is the first one. Multiple choice, make it easier.
Okay.
So I have 3 box trucks, and they're all on a level surface. They're completely sealed, and they all have an apple hanging from a string.
Okay.
The only difference between these 3 is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Okay, how'd you guys know that one's at rest?
Because inertia.
Okay, it's not moving.
It's not
Exactly,
moving, yeah.
exactly. Which one's accelerating forward? Okay, how did you know that one's
Inertia again.
Inertia, because of inertia, exactly. So it resists the upwards motion and it stays in place. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So that's the first one. The second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Well, B is definitely still.
Yeah, it's for the same reason as the first, because it's vertical, it's not moving. Which one's accelerating forward?
Can you, I'm gonna say A still.
Is the container still?
It's still
It's completely sealed, yes.
Completely sealed
Yes,
container?
completely sealed container. It's inside
It
of
could be
it.
B or A.
Is it B again?
It could be B or A.
So it's
I think it's A. So the purpose is, I feel like the purpose of inertia is
It's
still.
actually C.
Why would that?
There's 2 reasons why. So the first reason is air is more dense than helium, right? The second reason is a force. So when I apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's inside of the box truck is also being forced through space in that same direction.
Gotcha.
And because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it along with
So
it.
the properties of inertia only apply
To objects that are more dense than the medium that surrounds it. And that's why things get left behind, because the air is not dense enough to push it because of inertia. So the inertial resistance of the helium balloon is not strong enough to resist the force. So the force overcomes believe it.
Yes.
So a buoyant object will always get pushed by a force. So, and I can show that here. This is a buoyant object surrounded by water. Water is more dense than the ball. If I apply a force in this direction, what direction will the ball go?
This is the dense object?
This is a less dense object. This is a buoyant object. It'll go with it. Yes. So it goes with it because the air is able to push it along with it. I mean the water. Yeah, it's more dense. So here, this is a real question just to see if you guys are smarter than a 5th grader. Here, I recreated this experiment in a cargo van. I'll do a little bit this time. So, again, a helium balloon and an apple hanging from a string. What direction would you say I accelerated here? To the
Reversing.
right? Reversing. You got it. Yeah, you got it. Because, again, matter doesn't lie.
Yeah.
You know, that's the direction that it was pushed. So, one last question. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Why does it go up? There's 2 reasons.
Because the properties of gravity don't apply to things that are less dense. Or because it's less dense than...
Okay, what's pushing up the helium balloon? Why is the helium balloon moving up? What's moving it up? Air. Yes, the air is moving up the helium because it's more dense. My question is now, what's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium? Because air is inanimate, just like helium.
Yeah.
It requires an external force to move it. Just like the truck moved the air and then it moved the helium. What's moving the air up to move up
The
the helium?
temperature, like the hot air going up.
Yeah, well, the hot air rises because it's buoyant.
Radiation from the Earth's like temperature.
Yes, so it's the more dense gases that are pushing up lighter gases. But what's pushing up those dense gases to push up lighter gases? No, well, heat gets pushed by the denser gases. So what's pushing the denser gases to push up lighter gases?
Something to do with the atmosphere.
It's gravity. But here's the reality. Gravity as a pulling force doesn't exist because it has never been proven. The fact is, gravity is a pushing force of the Earth. So right now, you're not being pulled down to the Earth. It's the Earth. Yes, the Earth is pushing up against you, constantly pushing up. So when you release an object, it's the Earth that's pushing up the air, and the air is pushing up the helium balloon. So that's why we have a buoyant effect, because we have an upwards push of the Earth, not a pull. So again, this whole idea of gravity being a pulling force is just an idea because it doesn't exist. It's just a theory.
Do we have more proof that gravity is a pushing force?
Yes. Have you guys heard of the normal force of the Earth? So you guys can look that up. That is the only real force that's measurable and detectable here on Earth. That's what they call it, the normal force, but it's an upwards push of the Earth. But here's the thing. You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yes.
You guys understand that on a ball or a sphere, up is relative.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing on here, up is this way. Yes. Every direction away from the center is up. If we could prove physically that gravity is not a pull of the Earth, that it's actually a push and upwards motion of the Earth, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? A lot of people say the spin, but the spin moves in this direction, doesn't move up relative to a ball. So that would mean it wouldn't work. So in order for the globe Earth to be able to push up, if it was a ball, it would have to be expanding. That's the only way you could push up this way, this way, this way, and everything. It would just explode. It wouldn't work. In order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth. Because if we could prove that it's actually a push, because that's what physics shows, then the whole globe Earth concept falls apart. Because the whole globe Earth idea is built on a false premise that gravity is a pulling force of the Earth, but in fact, physics shows that it's a pushing force of the Earth. And again, matter doesn't lie. Buoyancy shows that helium balloons rise because the air is also being forced up, because the ground itself is literally moving up through space as well. So that will be the number one proof to debunk the globe, is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth and not a pull. So the Earth is just an extended level plane and is pushing up only in one direction, which is up, and everybody's up is the same.
So are you claiming that the Earth is
flat?
It's level. It's level. Because flat is a psyop, because over 95% of flat earthers online especially claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny the upwards
So
push
you're
of the
saying,
Earth.
okay, so you're saying that motion does exist, but the Earth is level.
It's level because it has orientation. Because
opposed
level
to
is an
being
orientation. But it's relative to the vertical force of the Earth, which is an upwards force, not a downwards force.
Gotcha.
And again, they have to lie to us about the downwards force of the Earth because that's the only way you're able to introduce a globe Earth concept. Because if we could prove that it's the other way around, how can you have an Earth pushing up and a ball? How can the Earth push up and be a ball at the same time? It doesn't make sense. Because the Earth is just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one
So
direction.
what is your image of Earth?
I don't have a model of the Earth.
You don't have a model?
I don't have
Okay.
a model.
You just know that it's level.
Flat Earthers have a model, and that's a psyop.
That model is not.
It's not correct. 100%. I
I
mean, a model is not reality. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
Models are just representations of what you think reality is. So I don't push models because that just opens the door for debates.
Yeah.
I push physics. So the physics that debunks the globe is what I push. So
You're saying the Earth isn't a globe?
it's not a globe 100%. So that's the number one proof. The fact that gravity is a push, not a pull. This is the number two proof. Do you guys know the radius of the Earth that they tell us? So based on the radius of the Earth, they tell us is 3,159 miles, allegedly, because they have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they supposedly know the radius of orbit. So they have to tell us this number. So based on the radius of the Earth and using a simple calculation like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be every mile. And it turns out there should be 8 inches per mile squared. What that means, in the first mile, there's an 8-inch curve. Second mile, there should be 32 inches. And by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature, which is 72 inches. In 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature, which is a lot of curvature if you ask me. So how do we measure for that curve to see if it's truly there, right? There's a very easy way. So if we went out to a giant lake, where's the graphs right here? Yeah, so if we went out to a giant lake that was 3 miles across, for example, filled with water, and we build a level structure above the body of water, the water is going to show that it's going to be parallel, the surface of water, to anything horizontal above it, because that's how water behaves when contained and at rest. The surface always collapses and forms an equal surface, which is horizontal. You know, they're trying to tell us that the surface of every lake is bending 8 inches per mile squared, which would be 6 feet in 3 miles. But that's a physical impossibility for water to do that, especially on a lake, to be able to maintain a bend on the surface. That defies physics. So the oceans are level, meaning horizontal. So the term sea level comes from the term oceans being horizontal. So again, the oceans are not bending around a ball. That's physically impossible. You know, physics of water shows that. So that would be the number 2 proof to debunk the low. There is no physical measurement of the Earth, and water shows that. So if I was to ask you guys, why do you guys believe the Earth is a globe?
Satellite images.
Oh, did you say satellite images? What else?
Just ways that flat Earth theories have been debunked. And
How have they been debunked?
I've seen videos of if you stand in one place and shine a light,
Laser
laser
experiment.
And then if you go further away, like it's not.
It should be in the hole, but it's not. Okay, so here's the thing with laser experiments. And if I shine a laser through water, for example, will that laser go straight? No, it won't go straight, right? Why wouldn't it go straight, you think? Refraction. So you know the atmosphere has moisture in it, right? So if we shine a laser through it, we're going to get refraction as well. So our laser experiment or a test to measure for Earth's curvature using a laser, it will be a faulty experiment because there's always going to be refraction. Our legit experiment will be building a horizontal structure above water to see if there's truly a bend. And again, water doesn't lie either. Matter doesn't lie. So matter would show that that physical curve that they're claiming is there is actually not. Because they're claiming 66 feet in 10 miles. Now imagine going to a lake that was 10 miles across. They're trying to tell you that there's a 66-foot hump of water.
Does that debunk the theory of curvature just period, or would it just...
Because you could claim, oh, the Earth is just bigger, much bigger than we think, right? Even if it was double the size, half of this curvature should still be there. And the fact is, there's zero curvature regardless of distance. So you could build 100 miles, zero curvature. It doesn't matter.
So the globe Earth theory is debunked, but then again, we cannot adopt a model of flat Earth.
No, because we don't know the true dimensions of the Earth. I say that Earth is being contained by a physical barrier, so the air is not escaping into outer space. Yeah, a physical barrier. So nobody's been outside of the Earth system. They claim to go into outer space. They claim Earth is an open system, right? They claim, but that defies the second law of thermodynamics, where high pressure will always move to a lower pressure area unless there's solid barriers separating the two. They're claiming Earth is an open system next to a vacuum while maintaining pressure. Yeah, that's retarded. That's just retarded. I hate to say it, you know. But yeah, nobody's been outside of the Earth, and yeah, that's the reality. Any questions before you guys go? I mean,
I've just never heard that theory before.
Just a heads up though. Flat Earth, motionless flat Earth, is a psyop. It's the biggest psyop besides the globe. You know, just a heads up. So here's my channel. You guys can check it out. I only have 2 left.
We can share.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate the chat, man. You guys take care.
What's happening?
All right, you guys want to give this a shot real quick?
Yes, I want to give this a shot.
Okay, this is gonna be my last one for sure. All right.
Okay.
So 2 very easy questions, multiple choice. So first one, I have 3 box trucks. They're all completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple hanging from a string.
Okay.
The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, why would you say B?
Because when the car moves forward, the ball or the apple would hypothetically move backwards because the apple wants to stay where it is because it's isolated and the movement is happening around it.
Okay.
Not to it.
Yeah. I like that answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's because it's not moving.
Yeah.
That's why this one's at rest. So which
Right.
one's accelerating forward?
The A.
A, right? And that's because the whole surrounding is moving, but this is maintaining its position.
Yes.
So due to inertia.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect. That's the first one. Yeah. It's pretty elementary though. So again, same thing, pretty similar. The only difference here is that instead of an apple, it's a helium balloon. But out of these three, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, and it's for the same reason as the first, because there's no motion. Which one's accelerating forward?
Still A.
A. That's your final answer?
Yeah.
No, it's actually C.
What?
So there's two reasons why it's C. So the first reason is air is more dense than helium. That's the first reason, right?
Okay.
The second reason is a force. So as soon as I apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's inside of the box truck is also being forced in that same direction through space.
Oh,
and
I
because
see.
air is more dense than helium, is able to push it along with it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't do that with the apple because the apple's more
It's
dense,
more dense than air,
so the air
yeah.
can't push it. So
I
it just
see.
gets left behind.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can show that here. Look, this is a buoyant object, which is less dense in the water.
Okay.
So if I apply a force in this direction, what direction will the ball go?
Wait,
This is
the
a
ball
buoyant
more
object.
dense than object.
Yeah, the ball is less dense.
Oh, it's less dense, then it's going to go forward.
It's gonna go forward.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Forward.
okay.
It's physics. It's reality. Yeah. So here, this is the "Are you smarter than a fifth grader?" question now. So, based on the principles that we just learned, I have a helium balloon and an apple hanging from a string inside this cargo balloon. What direction would you say I accelerated? To the right or to the left?
Wait.
Yeah. Which? Okay, let him answer.
It's going this way because the balloon is going this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That means the air is being forced in that direction, which that's how that helium balloon is able to get pushed. Obviously, the apple has apparent motion because it just got left behind. The helium balloon has true motion because it's being pushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one last question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Like
If I have a helium balloon,
in proportion to me or proportion?
yeah, proportion to us,
Okay.
relative to us.
It goes up.
It goes up. Yes. Why does it go up? You think?
Because it's less dense than air.
Yes.
And so then it's gonna float on top of the air, like buoyancy principles. But yeah. Actually not like.
So yeah, that is the first reason why helium balloon rises, because it's less dense than air. But the second reason is a force. You need a force still. So again, so the air is pushing up the helium balloon. In this scenario, the truck pushed the air, which then pushed the helium. What's pushing up the air here on Earth to be able to push up a helium balloon?
Normal force.
Yes, it is the normal force of the earth. You got it. So yeah. So here's the reality. Gravity as a pulling force has never been measured or detected, and that's why it's just a theory.
Yeah.
So the reality, the only force that exists here on Earth is the normal force, which is an upward push of the Earth.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well, that means that when you release an object into free fall, everybody believes that this accelerates down to the Earth. But the reality is that Earth moves up to the object in free fall. So this only falls back due to inertia. So there is no force accelerating down to the Earth. The only force is the air being pushed up, which is pushing up the helium. And what's pushing up the air? It's the Earth.
Okay.
So the Earth is pushing up against you right now. It's not pulling you down towards it. So that's the reality. So what does that mean, right? What
Means that the fifth graders don't know all this. Actually.
No. The basic principles of buoyancy. That's a fifth grade question. Now we're getting into more complex. So you guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
You guys understand that on a ball, up is relative. Right? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way. But if you're standing here, up is this way.
Yeah.
In every direction away from the center is up on the ball. If we could prove physically that the Earth is not pulling you down, but in fact is pushing up, in other words, it's moving up through space, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Wait, are you arguing that the Earth is flat?
Not flat, level. There's a huge difference. Level point. It's a level point. So,
Well, I think. Wait, sorry. Ask a question again.
So if we could prove physically that the Earth is pushing up against you and not pulling you down, because that's what physics shows, that's what buoyancy shows, and the fact that there is no proof of gravity is just a theory, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Well,
huh? Well, rotating just means it's moving this way. It's not moving this way.
Well,
this
I don't
way,
think
this way,
the
this way.
Earth is moving up in every direction.
Yeah, I know you don't, because you believe in a pulling force of gravity.
Yeah.
But if we could prove that it was in fact a pushing force, how would that work from a globe? It's a kind of a hypothetical question.
I don't think that it would work.
I know it won't work because that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding.
Yeah.
You know, just explode.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work. So the fact is, in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, you have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that it's the other way around, then the whole heliocentric model falls apart.
Okay.
Because that's the Achilles heel to the globe. They require a pulling force of gravity in order to sell a globe Earth concept.
Okay.
So that will be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth is the fact that the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull.
Okay.
Buoyancy shows us that.
Okay.
So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, why do you guys believe the Earth is false?
Like satellite imagery, number one.
Images.
Number two, I was taking this astro class, and they're like, damn, like flat earthers don't really know things, and they made us like disprove a lot of stuff for that. Also, because with the same logic, if we have the idea that gravity like is just a theory, and that the normal force is like having Earth pull things towards us, if I'm like hanging by my neck from a noose, I'm not like getting caught up by the ground. The ground isn't coming up to catch me, and it's not because the like noose is more or less dense. It's just because it's there, but I can feel the weight on my neck, and so I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like that's
like you're talking about like if you hang something from like a string.
Yeah.
Well, right now this doesn't fall because I'm connected to the Earth and I'm holding it up.
Right.
Yeah, but if I disconnect, then the Earth does come up to it. Same thing with
the
your neck.
Earth doesn't
if
really.
If you disconnect, then the Earth will come up to you.
Yeah, I mean. True.
You're connected
However,
to the Earth. That's why.
the force that I feel is still real.
Yeah, it is an upwards push. The reason why you feel your weight is because you're experiencing an upwards push, and your body has inertia. It wants to remain in its position in space, so that's why you have weight, because you have inertia, and you're resisting the upwards push. So the globe Earth flipped the script. They're claiming inertia is the force, and then the Earth is just resisting, but it's the other way around. The Earth is the upwards force, and inertia is just resisting.
Okay.
So they just flipped the script.
But okay, if the normal force does exist, then we would not be. I feel like we wouldn't be standing on Earth. We would all just be like pushed out into infinity. When does the Earth know when to stop?
Well, that's the thing. The reason why if you jump, you come back down, is because you're not necessarily coming back down. It's just the Earth catches up to you again. So because again, your body has inertia. So when you jump, you're applying extra force. So that's why you gain distance from the Earth. But you'll instantly start to lose that momentum. So the Earth catches up again. Does that make sense? So you jump, and the Earth just simply catches up again because your force obviously wasn't strong enough to keep you going up forever.
No, but I mean more in the sense that like when they were teaching us basic physics in like we went 6th grade, or was that 7th? 7th grade. In like 7th grade when they were teaching us physics, the normal force was created in theory to the force of gravity because there was nothing. Gravity would have said that like, oh, we just like. If we had landed, we would just like keep going down because of how like inertia works. So there has to be something that stops us from doing that.
Yeah.
So if there wasn't gravity, then we would just like float off, and Earth would just like be like moving out in a bunch of different ways, as you suppose.
Well, I would say if there wasn't any inertial resistance to force, then we would do that. But I would say your mass has inertia. All mass has inertia here on Earth. So the more mass you have, the more resistance you're going to have because the more mass you have.
Right, but mass is defined by gravity.
No, well, mass is affected by gravity. It's not defined by gravity. So based on how much mass you have, and you're going to have
I'm going to weigh
so much
less in space, no?
Well, outer space, anything about outer space is just concept. So now we're talking theoretical physics.
Well, they measure people in space. They measured people in space before.
Were you talking about like in the space station, for example? Or yeah, I would say that a lot of these videos that were being shown from ISS, they're done. Have you heard of zero-G flights? Yeah, parabolic maneuvers. So a lot of they give you the free-falling effect of floating inside of an aircraft. And a lot of these experiments that they do, they just simply do that.
Okay.
They're doing parabolic flights, and they're not really going to outer space, in my opinion.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the reality. Nobody's been to outer space, in my opinion. It's all just a concept to reinforce the globe Earth model, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, because...
So you believe the Earth is flat?
I don't believe the Earth is flat. I know the Earth is a level plane that's pushing out.
Okay.
That's a fact. I don't know the exact dimensions of the Earth. I don't know how far it extends. I don't know what's containing the Earth physically, but that's what it shows me.
Okay.
And I don't have a bias. I just go with what reality shows me.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your time.
All right, no worries, man. I appreciate the chat, and you guys take care, man. Yeah, take care. Hey, you want to give this a shot? Sure. Yeah? Okay. Let me see if to be honest, I'm already on my way out, but here's my channel. and you could check it out. You know, I go to universities and I have this conversation all the time, and yeah, you could give it a look. Appreciate it. Yeah, take care. All right, that's gonna be it for this one. God damn, my lips are fucking dry. All right, so that's gonna be it for this one. Again, thanks for everyone that showed up, everyone that shares the videos, that supports the channel. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, see you guys on the next one. Peace.